and chasing the next paycheck. But he discovered something powerful. In 2007, Dan stepped into real estate, a world of challenges, rejection, and uncertainty. He didn't just sell, he served. Every setback became a lesson, every lesson a step forward. Through faith, family, and self-leadership, he learned a truth that changed everything. Success isn't just about closing deals. It's about showing others how to create results of their own. From a boy with a forgotten dream to soldier, entrepreneur, and mentor, Dan's journey proves this. The way to multiply your impact is to teach to sell. You don't just succeed for yourself. You succeed by teaching others to sell and helping them achieve their dreams. Every story.
Well, hello there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. I'll say hello to as many people as I could possibly say hello to you. Hello, Miss Jessica. Hello, Prince. Cindy, Ray, Mark, Lally, Kendra, Victoria, Dr. Radar is her name for today. I don't think I've ever called you doctor, but when I introduce you later, I will. I promise you. It's weird. That's Vika. Vika. Vika to me, doctor to you, gosh darn it. Scott, Mindy. I'm sure she'll say Vika to you too. Elazar, Fritz, Richard, Vanessa, Jacqueline, Wilda. I hope I said your name correctly, Wilda. If I didn't, help me pronounce it. Lisa, welcome. Dorothy, Johnny. Hello, Johnny Root. Michelle, Kira, George, Bob. Mindy from Indy. Let's see here. Gabby, Yagi Girl, Denise, Janika, Fraser O'Leary. No way. No way are we blessed with the Mr. Fraser O'Leary. That's amazing. That is so that's I'm out. I'm out. My day is done. Bob, hello, Gabby. Hello, okay. Jay, Steve, Gil, all right, I'm not able to keep track of you. So if I didn't say hello to you, you are the most important person as a part of our presentation today. Les, you want to share our first slide? And I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am, a little bit about what you're going to learn today. So before I do so, you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So the what you're going to get today is you're going to get clarity, you're going to get confidence, and you're going to get consistency. So one of the things that that video, the introduction video, so you'll notice that I'm a very interactive instructor. All right, so I want you to be a part of this conversation. I want you to turn on your videos. I want you to interact. Try not to, stop me when I'm, giving you really, really good information, like in the middle of me sharing something. But other than that, it can be a relatively, like we're here to have a conversation. We're here to grow together. I'm curious, what do you guys think about that intro video that they played with me with the mullet? I thought that was pretty cool, and me in the army, that type of stuff. What do you guys think about that? Was that okay? Yeah. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you guys got? Up or down? Okay. Now, I like it also. The first time I saw it was last night, but the only thing when I watched it, and I was like, something's a little bit off on this. And what I and I think it's great. I'm really, really grateful for the production staff, Prince especially, that put that together. Thank you, Prince. Um, but the one thing I would say, and I'm going to keep it, but I'm going to keep it, then I'm going to have to say this to you. That video positions me as the hero, and I'm not the hero. You are the hero. Okay. My job is to guide you. My job is to be able to help you grow. My job is to take something that's taken me. I am a 52-year-old man who's been in sales since he's been about 8 years old. Okay. And during that time, I have done this where I want, wung it, just sort of made it up. I've done it where I've documented it. I've got books after books after books. I've got probably, I probably have 100 of these books. And in every one of these books, there are notes and 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 notes. So not only have I studied but I've also implemented. And so what my job today is to show you how you can implement it. Now, what is it that you're going to implement? You're going to implement the ability to replace selling with leading. So that that you understand that everything begins with one small decision. Those of you that were on the shadow hour with me previously, would you, and by the way, if you weren't on the shadow hour, every Tuesday and Thursday, we do a free live session where I cold call, warm call, I reach out to people and I ask them to hire me, basically. But what am I really doing is I'm creating a relationship with them. And if you were here just for today's session, did you notice how much of that? And I want to hear from you, somebody that was here today. How much was I selling, and how much of it was I leading? What do you guys got? What was your observations for those of you that were here today?
Hey, Dan, it's Devon. You were definitely building rapport and leading.
I was definitely building rapport and leading. How was I doing that, Devon?
Yeah. Well, you listened intently, and you matched their energy, and you listened for what they need, what their values are, and how you can best serve them.
Love it. So teach a sell. It's thank you, Devon, for sharing that with us. It's teach a sell. It's about understanding other people. It's about understanding how they perceive the world. And then you have to understand that we perceive our world through our five senses. You're going to learn more about this as we go through the instruction today, through our senses. And then we take our belief systems, our values, our identity, our education, our culture, and we sort of take what we're bringing in through our senses and then we translate it into something that has meaning for us. When you understand that you're a human being, I say we're spiritual beings in a human manifestation. Okay, so does Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who was a French priest and philosopher from the early 1900s, taught us that years ago, that we're spiritual beings in a human manifestation. And so, if that is true, which I do believe it's true, then what you realize is that we make meaning of our communication. For those of you that observed me making those two calls earlier today, one of the comments was, well, those were different calls. What made them be different calls? Well, because they were different people. Okay. So I wasn't changing who I am, but I was paying attention to who they are, and then I'm stepping into their world. And when I'm able to step into somebody else's world, when you're able to step into somebody else's world, and then you guide them to follow you, that's how you are able to make sales at a high level. But here's a little asterisk to it. Any influence that you do, anything that you learn in this class today, you've got to be able to use it ethically. You never, ever, ever would you guide somebody to do something that's not in their best interest. Now, what's it my right to know what's in somebody else's best interest or not? Ask. It's not my right to sit there and believe that I know what's in your best interest. It is my responsibility for me to ask so that I can understand exactly what you're looking for, and then I can guide you to get that. Does that make sense, everybody? Put a one in the chat if you guys are following me. Put a one, a one, a one, a one, a one. I gotta roll down on my. Oh my goodness, I haven't even read all the text from the last class. Hold on one second. Let me roll down. Michelle gave me like 4 ones. Oh no, that was Lolly that gave me 4 ones. All right, so Denise gave me 5 ones, 6 ones. Denise is apparently an overachiever. But Jay got you with an exclamation point. So I'm so sorry, Denise. You have no exclamation points. So there's that. All right. Okay. Glad to see you there. So let's go back to the slide deck, and I'm going to introduce to you our first speaker here in just a few minutes. But before I do so, I've got a couple other things I really want to make sure that I'm setting you up for. So I wrote a book called Teach to Sell. It's being published by Simon & Schuster in March of 2026. Today's event, you're going to learn the methodologies of Teach to Sell. There's 4 pillars. Those four pillars are to believe in yourself, and then it is to find business, and then it's to build an organization so that you can serve the business, have more time, have more freedom, and then it's to understand how to be an effective leader. Effective leaders teach other people how to think so that they can get what they want. And those are the four premises of what you're going to get here. Let's go to the next slide, if you could, please, and see if you can sort of stay with me on this the best that you can. Les is probably the only person on the planet that can probably read my mind. So this is for if you are a service-based business owner, maybe you're a real estate agent, maybe you are a lender, maybe you sell some sort of product or service, maybe you're a community connector, Fraser O'Leary, maybe you're somebody who one way or another you make an income from a service-based industry. This is for salespeople who want a steady and predictable income. And it's for those of you that are tired of the waves of inconsistency and you're looking for a path that you can rely on, a simple path that's not done with pressure. This class is for you. So if I just described you, stay. And if I didn't just describe you, stay anyways. But hello, Rocky Smith. Let's go to the next slide, please. What you're going to learn today, you're going to learn why income becomes unpredictable and how you can make it so that it becomes predictable. Who here would like to have predictable income, by the way? Just give me a thumbs up. Yep. Scott says yes. Mindy from Indy, yes, 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 yes. All right. So we're going to learn how to create conversations that lead to decisions. Those of you that were, shadowing me before, you saw that, right? You saw me having conversations. Those people will make decisions. I hope that those decisions are going to be to hire me. You're going to learn a method that makes people trust and follow your lead and a path that you can apply immediately. You're going to get stuff that is actionable that you can use today. Go to the next slide, please. And the first principle, believe in yourself. So what you've got to understand is identity shapes behavior. We talked about giving things meaning. You are a meaning making machine. And so am I, and so is everybody else here, and so are your clients. Okay? Now, once you recognize that, my daughter this morning, she had a real big meltdown. We got her to school about an hour late today. And it annoyed me. I'm just being transparent. All right, I'm just being human. And I pulled over in the car and I sat there. I said, "Wait, what meaning am I making of this? Am I the juvenile 15-year-old daughter that's going through hormonal changes and all that type of stuff, or is she?" Right? Like seriously, what meaning am I providing this? And I was able to reframe my mindset to say, you know what? It was just an adventure, and I get to be able to move on. And yes, she's a human being as well. And yeah, my teachings are I am a neurolinguistic programming certified in NLP, and so a lot of my teachings do come from NLP, hypnosis, etc. For Craig. Go back to the slides, please, and thank you. So, and in the book, you'll learn there's an entire section in the book that goes through NLP. All right, let's go. Let's go and introduce Vika if we could, please, and thank you. And I think we have a slide here for her. Vika is the CEO, or not the CEO. She's the owner. She's the owner. She elevated herself. She made our friend. She gave our friend Marla Ballard the opportunity, who's on a plane right now from California to D.C. or Baltimore. I'm not sure where she's landing. But Marla runs her company, and Victoria is the founder of U2, U2 Shine. And yeah, thank you, Vika. Thank you for helping me with my lapse of memory. And she's somebody that I would say of all the really incredible human beings that I know, Vika has the greatest awareness of the way that we connect with each other spiritually, behaviorally. I learn a lot from her, and I'm grateful to have her as my friend. So, Dr. Vika, hello, welcome.
Hey, Dan, thank you so much. First of all, can we all like celebrate Dan? Is this a huge deal or what? This book, come on, send him so much love. I mean, come on, man. I am drooling over sinking my teeth in this masterpiece because that is what it's going to be. One thing I know about Dan, what Dan touches, he turns to excellence. What Dan touches, he turns to excellence. You want to claim your belief in yourself right here, right now. Give yourself a promise. Put your hand on the heart, the second one on the solar plexus, and say, moving forward, everything I touch, I will turn to excellence. Moving forward, everything I touch, I will turn to excellence. Now, I want to talk to you guys about this whole believe in yourself thing because, Dan kind of beautifully said there's a spiritual part of us and there's a human part of us. Let me tell you, those are not always friendly. Those are not always friendly. There's a little bit minor conflict that we describe as self-sabotage. And in a solution to that conflict lies the level of your self-belief. In a solution to the conflict between the little am, when I say I am me, I say I am me, there is a little am. That little am is the mortal matter that manifests materially. Last time I checked, I like food with my meals. I mean, I'm just really human. My mortal matter likes to manifest material food. And yet in that me, there's also a big E, and that is the eternal energy, the essence of expansion. So going forward in a self-belief paradigm, when you say to yourself, I am me, you're reminding the beautiful, powerful duality. There is a part of you that is mortal matter that manifests materially. There is a part of you that is eternal energy, the essence of expansion. And each one of those has a voice. Many years ago, a client whose name she allowed me to share, Stephanie Cruz. Stephanie Cruz came to me and she said, I'm so overwhelmed because I tend to overcommit. Anybody here either shies commitment or overcommits because if they commit, they self-sacrifice. Yes, commitment. If I commit to work, then I'm not as committed to my personal well-being and life. Then working out or adventure is gone astray. Or if I'm having a good time, then business tanks. So it's interesting. She said, I am really, see, overcommit for sure from candor. Amazing. So overcommit, undercommit. So I was going to just sit down with Stephanie and say, hey, let me tell you the good old habit of commitment. But what came through became a huge pivot point. What came through was, no, 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 no. You already committed. You're just committed to a scared part of you. You see, the mortal matter, the little m, has one job: to keep us scared. Because if we're scared, we're surviving, we're cautious. It is keeping us alive. And yet there is a big E, a much gentler, quieter voice. It is a sacred part of you. It's interesting. In English language, which, by the way, the accent is Ukrainian. This is my fourth language. So release the judgment, send a lot of love here, okay? In English language, scared and sacred have the same letters. The only letter that is shift is a letter C. I call it the C of commitment. So your belief in yourself lies in a daily shift of commitment. Are you going to listen to the scared, self-sabotaging part of you? Or are you going to listen to the sacred, nourishing, peaceful part of you? You see, you don't lack commitment. All of us are perfectly committed 24/7 to one of those two parts. Now, this is how it works in sales. When you're in your scared self, you have this great idea, great product. You're like, imagine you have like a piece of light, because that is what it is. Like you have a flashlight. And when you have a flashlight, you want everybody to see, right? So you got to share the product as a service. You're going to tell everybody. And what do we do with that flashlight? We run to the person and we shine them right in the eyes. Like, can't you see? Can't you see? This price has to be reduced. Can't you see? They're like, water. They're blinded. They're blinded. When we direct the light of our excitement into someone's eyes, they cannot see. They're blinded. And so the shift for us today is from being a person with a flashlight who's running around from market to market looking for the person to shine the light into the eyes to becoming a lighthouse. What is the job of a lighthouse? To be consistent, to be present, to be always showing the way, to be the light that others seek, not run away from. How do you today commit to becoming a lighthouse through belief in yourself? The first step is to realize you cannot believe in yourself greater than you believe yourself. Do you believe yourself? Do you believe yourself? Once you believe yourself, your belief in yourself grows. In over 15,000 sessions, I've discovered that the shortcut to fulfillment, far beyond success or even significance, is your connection to your infinite worth. You see, all of us either believe that what we do makes us worthy, or we believe we're worthy of doing anything we want to do. The first one is the scared, the little am. If only I get another certificate. If only I hit that $1 million producer, $5 million producer. By the way, Dan knows, walked away from 28 million pending in real estate, me, right here, when the sacred voice said, and now you open your coaching company, you to shine. Did the scared self like that? Nope. Did my broker though? Yep. So going back to when you align yourself with your worth. Now, what is your worth? You have heard it said that your network defines your net worth. Yes, you guys have heard it. So for your performance, if you are talking to the agents or the lenders or the businesses that are struggling, whether you want it or not, your subconscious is coding for struggle. We're not talking about toxic people. We're just talking about right now in this room. I want everybody to not think about the elephant. Do not think how big and gray it is. Don't think that it could be pink. By golly, do not think of its big ears and definitely not its trunk. Stop thinking about its trunk. How did we do? Our subconscious is so easily coded. It cannot help itself to absorb what it observes. What you observe, you absorb. If you observe low self-belief, you absorb doubt. If you observe confidence and radiance, you absorb confidence and radiance. Your first practical step for your self-belief and worth, who are the 5 people in your life that you admire because they never change who they are? Because the person who changes who they are is a person that doubts themselves and seeks to please. Surround yourself with those people. Gain the confidence. Who are the people who are producing at the level you want to produce without sacrificing who they are? This is so important because you cannot align yourself with a certain profit if it jeopardizes parts of your soul. You will self-sabotage relentlessly if your soul has a price of profit. So Dan's amazing book, will give you the steps of self-belief. When you look at them, you can actually, I can see this myself, only I change behavior, not my core of who I am. Absolutely, Lolly. So you do not change who you are, right? This is your infinite worth. You change the way you are seen by continually shifting your weaknesses into strength. Now, I wanted to talk about two aspects. Dan, how am I doing for time?
Oh, you're doing good. You're doing good. Maybe another 5 or so minutes. I got some
Amazing.
questions for you also,
Okay, amazing. Thank you.
but I can do the
So,
questions after the 5 or so minutes. So you're
all
good.
right, 5 minutes it is. She controls quantum time. How about we deliver 30 minutes in 5 minutes? Challenge accepted. Let's do this. Okay, so you guys, um, we cannot help but answer a question. The fastest way to shift your perception of your own worth is by changing the quality of your questions. Now, here is such a juicy little piece of information. You know how I define little m as mortal matter that manifests materially, scared about other opinions and everything else? Think about English language. When we doubt ourselves, what do we say? What's the matter with me? Yep, you're now at the level of the matter. Do I even matter? Right? The doubt speaks literally in the language of the matter. What's wrong with me? Never ask the question about self or others. What's wrong? Because the subconscious, a willing servant, will ask you, do you want a short list or a long list? Do you want a long list of what's wrong with the situation? So when things are tough, when economy is challenging, which translates to a great opportunity, by the way, we love challenging economy because it is a seed for great opportunity. The question you want to ask is, what is the best possible solution? Super easy. Whatever situation you're facing, coming from a self-belief of being equipped for solution, you're going to ask, what is the best possible solution? Write it down. And if there was a better solution, what would it be? Stretch your capacity. You will be amazed. Now, everything exists in forms of possibility. Right now, maybe you believe that it's possible for Dan to have a 20 million, 30 million, 50 million year, but it is not possible for you. So your first conversation is, what if it were possible for me? No attachment yet, no control. What if were possible for me? And then we take it from a possibility to probability. If it were possible for me to have a 25 million year, how would I make it probable? And your powerful mechanism of subconscious mind will start coming up with probable solution. And then $1 million question. And of all of these probabilities, which one has the highest purpose and profitability? Because why would you sacrifice your purpose for profit or your profit for purpose? But until you make your subconscious mind work in your favor, it will sabotage and dance from genetics of generations. I was born in Soviet Union. I grew up every summer in a village without indoor plumbing. Yeah, the well water was amazing and healthy. Going to the outhouse in the middle of the night for 5 minutes to cross the field was less than exciting for a 3-year-old. The phenomenal thing that growing up in that circumstance gave me was to know, that's what I want to finish with self-belief, that no one and nothing can touch the sacred secret of who you are until you invite them to come and spit into your soul. So right here, right now, is the last moment you let anybody on this planet to offend you in any way. It is over. No one and nothing will never offend you. Why? Because you have a sacred secret core that is untouchable, that is worthy, that is powerful, And that is being fully activated for a life of significance that you came. There are only three limiting beliefs that develop into hundreds. One, I'm not enough. Two, I'm so different, nobody gets me. Three, what I want is just out of my reach. When you understand those are three lies, and you understand you were created different to make a difference, and that makes you more than enough. And everything you need is always right there for you, waiting for the right question to ask, which is, what is the highest probability with highest profitability and purpose? What is that one action I am to take right now? You then start trusting yourself by taking action, and the belief in yourself grows exponentially. And that is a wrap, Mr. Roshan.
Thank you, Dr. Rader. Doctor.
That's a doctor.
You know, we have another presenter. I recognize this as you were talking, and I saw him join us, Yuri, who's actually in Ukraine. And so we have a I didn't realize that there was that connection today. Feek, I've got a couple questions for you. Before I ask your questions, I want to share with the audience some observations that I made from your conversation, from your talk. And I'm going to give you guys a summary, and hopefully you took notes as well. And if you didn't take notes, here's your opportunity to take notes right now. And then throughout the rest of the presentation, I'm going to encourage for you to do so. Remember, I told you I got, like a whole bunch of these. It comes from conversations like this. So what I heard from Victoria is to believe yourself. When you believe yourself, then you will believe in yourself. And I think that's it's amazing, sort of, tool to allow for us to be able to get the best out of ourselves. I had an interview yesterday. Vika, do you have a little bit of time to hang on here? Because I
I
want to
do.
tell a
I
story real
do.
quick.
Yeah, I
I had
do
an
have
interview
that.
yesterday with Leo Pereira. Does anybody know who Leo is? Anybody? Scott does, Mindy from Indy, Ed, thank you. Ed actually helped me get that set up, even though I've known him for many, many years. Ed, I'm grateful that you helped me get that set up. And Leo Pereira got his real estate license at 19 years old, and by the time he was 29 years old, he was the number one agent in all of Keller Williams Realty. He also created. Has anybody here ever heard of Remind? Anybody heard of that system, Remind? He's a co-founder of Remind, and he and his wife founded that, and then they went public with it, and then they sold. He also had another group called the Washington Capital Partners Group. They lended $2 billion in hard money loans. He was also the president of the National Association of Hispanic Realtors, and many many other successes. And I asked Leo yesterday in my interview. By the way, the No Broke Months podcast for salespeople is where you can find these episodes, and you can also search it on YouTube. Just put in there No Broke Months on YouTube, and you'll find it, or you can get it on any of your Spotify or anything. And I asked Leo. I said, Leo, I went through that entire bio, and I looked at him. I said, I got one question for you, man. How? And his answer was simple. It was because I believed I could. Now, he also mentioned that there was more mistakes and more setbacks than successes. Okay, so he's like, "Hey, Dan, you're reading off my highlight reel, and granted, that's a pretty damn good highlight reel. Okay, like that's an incredible highlight reel, right? But then there was also some big losses along the way as well. All right, but the point being is what Leo said to me. Here's a really, I'm going to say, a perceived successful person. And I always use the word perceived whenever I use the word success because success is subjective and it's meaningful to us. Okay, I don't have a right to say that Vika's successful or Dan is or Rocky is or Cindy is. That's for you to say or not say because we all judge ourselves on different values. But I perceive Leo to be a very successful man. And when I asked him how and why, he says, because I believed. So that's what I got about believe yourself and believe in yourself. I also heard Vika say, observe what you observe, you absorb. So I would say that a little bit differently. I love the way Vika said it. Like here's the Dan translation of that is what you focus on expands. And so whatever you're focusing on, that's what you let into your life. That's what you let into your spirit, into your subconscious. I heard Vika say that when you change the quality of your question, for example, what's the matter with me? Has anybody here, by the way, ever had some sort of version of that question besides myself? Anybody? Yeah. Vika gave us a really, really great tool, which is what's the best possible solution? Okay, another way you could maybe consider asking that is what's the next best possible solution? So you always know that there is an answer to that question. And if you come up with any answer that says something like, I don't know, then ask a follow-up question, which would be, well, if you did know, what would the answer be? And that's another way to be able to framework that as well. Now, Vika, I've got a couple questions for you. First of all, so you have, when I met you, you were a real estate agent. How long ago was that?
I actually just came out. You met me in 2014 because I joined BNI because I left the real
Yeah.
estate. That was right in that period. 10, 11 years ago. Woohoo, 11, master number. Hey, Dan, this just comes in so loudly, and you know I'm very guided, so I'm going to share this because somebody today is going to benefit from it so much. With what you're sharing, with the whole success failure ratio and so forth and so on, I think there is such a misunderstanding and misuse of the law of attraction. It's become crack, people are looking to manifest and to attract. For somebody today who just really needs to hear it, the laws are the laws are the laws, and there's a law of magnetism. And the law of magnetism demands to attract and to repel at the same way. If you cannot attract something into your life, like clients or success, it's because you are not allowing for life to repel things or people out of your life. You're trying to hold on for your dear life to what is, and you cannot. And that is the misnomer of the law of attraction. And so when you look at a successful person, it is a person who is happy to be rejected because they know that every rejection propels them to a greater height of success. That, my friend, defines you. You celebrate rejection with the same energy of a win as you do attraction. And I think it's become so consciously competent, unconsciously competent for you that I wanted to comment on that and explain that to people.
So what I just heard Vika say is, man, you suck, Dan. You have a whole bunch of failures.
That's not what you heard. It's not what you heard.
Okay, who are the people in our life that you admire that, okay, I got you here, Vika.
Yeah, it's huge. Be as happily rejected as you are accepted, and you become unstoppable.
Well, let's go back to that. Let's talk about that for a few minutes, and then I've got to move on to topics, but I think it's useful here because I go through this in the book where I talk about self-doubt, lacking the confidence that can prevent you from even starting the sales process or stop you from, even worse than that, reaching your potential, right? And so for me, I don't even recognize rejection. I look at rejection. Okay, let me give you an example. I was published in where was I published yesterday? I should probably know this. One of the I should probably know this, right? I was published in a magazine yesterday, a big website, a real estate website. I'll figure that out after break. I'll let you guys know where that if you want to check out the article. But I made a declaration about 2 weeks ago. I said, you know what? I'm an author. I want to write. So what if I write for other, what if I contact Inman? What if I contact Riz Media? What if I contact Housing Wire and all these different venues? So I reached out to around 20 different venues. And do you know how many either zeros or chirps I got from 20 outreaches? 19. Okay. And I got one yes. See, the thing is we look at that one yes, and you're like, oh my goodness, look at that. Dan's successful. He got that one yes. He got published yesterday. He's so successful, he doesn't even know who the hell published him yesterday, right? Like that's something I should know. But that being the case, it's the rejections that most of us don't see. My recommendation for this, and Vic, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, is when you get rejected, well, I would say I don't actually feel failure. I don't actually feel rejection. I either learn from it or I ignore it, or I understand it as a part of the process. Okay. If it's an early on rejection or something that's new to me, like those 20 people I outreach, that's new to me. So I'm going to look at the 19 that rejected me and say, well, can I take a different approach? Can I reach out to them on LinkedIn rather than send them a cold email? Can I go to their website and apply? Who do I know that knows of somebody that can introduce me to somebody? Right. So initially, when you're getting started with something that's new and you get the rejection, use it as feedback. But once you get skilled at something and you're like, I'm doing this every day and I know what I'm doing. And yeah, there's always room for improvement, but I think I got this probably 95% of the way that I'm pretty sure that I know how to do this. At that point, it's just like, I don't even notice the rejection. I just recognize it as a part of the process and it's just next. Vika, what are your thoughts on that? Because you always give me such great feedback.
Yeah, I think that it's very important that the moment you stop taking things personally, you excel professionally. And so I'll give you an example for since we're talking obviously about real estate, whenever I would come to a listing that was not a referral, was a cold lead listing, and they were looking for somebody who could give them the most unrealistic price, I actually would not waste my time on handling objections. Why? I can tell you why. Because I figured somebody else will massage them into a perfect client for me. So what I would say is I only work with the most optimal and maximum market sales price, not a wishful, unrealistic one. Now, when you do choose to go with an agent who promises you what I know for a fact the market cannot support, when your home is on the market for 3 months, please do yourself a favor. Take it off the market and bring me in, because on the fourth month, I will no longer take it because we will need to lower it by 25%. So this is the most miraculous thing that has worked for me like magic, because people would sign only 3 month agreement and they were pre-programmed to watch. And then I would march in with a market price, sell my average day on the market for my listings was 2 weeks. Why? Because the price was optimally, maximally priced. And so if you see a rejection not as a personal, I need to overcome, I need to prove, I need to fight, and now I'm sorry to say it out loud, now you have a pain in the ass client because you need to keep massaging them continually. They rejected you. You say, great. When your unrealistic expectation goes belly up, I will be there. And now you come in as a savior, and the relationship is very different. You are now the expert, not somebody who begged for their business. You're somebody who left a window for them to work with you. So that was always my approach. And the closing rate on those was my very last deal that I closed. I called him a return seller, was a return seller.
Vika, thank you so much for your time today. I want everybody to do me a favor. Everybody, take yourself off of mute before we show that slide last. I want everybody to take yourself off mute. 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 Now pretend that we're all in that theater down the street, and there's 50 of us. We're friends, and we're all sitting here. And Vika just gave that amazing presentation. What will we do at this point?
Woo! Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was
Thank you,
awesome.
Victoria. All
Awesome.
Love
right.
you, Dan.
I love you too. All right. And so Housing Wire was where I was published yesterday, in case if anybody wanted to look it up. Let's go ahead. I got a slide to share with you. And so give you a little agenda where we're at right now. So it's 1:48. We're going to go through another 7 minutes. I'm going to give a little lesson for you about discipline and talk to you about how that leads to habit, which leads to success. And then I want to, then we're going to take a quick 4 minute break. And then we will introduce you to Justin Stoddard, who's the CEO of Pro Insight and the author of the Upstream Model. Let's talk about discipline leading to habit. So this is one of the concepts that I go through in Teach to Sell. And what you can understand is that your life is created based off of your actions and activities. If I was in a live room with you, I bet that there's a guy here, and there's probably a woman here as well, but I wouldn't pick on the woman, I would pick on the guy, who is really, really fit, who you look at him and you're like, all right, dude goes to the gym. He drinks water. He probably doesn't smoke cigarettes. He probably doesn't drink a lot of alcohol, if any, and he probably watches what he eats. All right, can you guys imagine that person I just described? All right, so imagine that we're looking at that person right now, and you saw him, and I pointed to him, and I said to you, take a look at this guy. And you just look at his physique, his body. Do you think that he goes to the gym? What would you say? Probably yes, right?
Yes.
Do you think he does all these other things, drinks water, pays attention to what he eats, doesn't eat too much, all that type of stuff? You're going to say, yeah, most likely. I mean, unless if he's just genetically gifted, and that's a possibility. But even with genetics, you still got to maintain. So I bring that up to help you visualize that whether it's physically or something that's that's harder to be able to see, maybe it's subjective, whatever the case may be, the outcome always displays what the input is. Okay, the outcome displays what the input is. So it's a business owner, once we believe in ourselves, and that's the foundation of success. That's what there's 158 pages in the book Teach to Sell that gives you the frameworks for you to be able to elevate your success. Vika's given us one lesson with a really incredible lesson. I took great notes there. The book shares with you actionable steps, just like what Vika was doing, things that you can use in your life today. Because what I know and what we know, and intuitively we all know this, is that whatever actions that you take are going to produce a result. When my daughter was born, I adopted her. She was born in Las Vegas. I only say I adopted her because you may be like, why are you in Vegas if you live in Northern Virginia when your daughter's born? And I met my daughter when she was 3 days old, and I held her in my hand. It was like she was like a little football. I mean, she's like a little tiny thing. And we're at the Aria Hotel, and I say to her, I said, sweetie, I said, you can own this hotel or you can sleep at the doorstep of this hotel. Whatever choices that you make in your life are going to create your outcome. Now, I hope and I pray and I believe that the choices you'll make throughout your life are going to be healthy choices. What I'm committed to is guiding you to make those choices and to make good choices. If anybody's ever been to one of my presentations, you notice I always leave the presentation with saying 4 things to you. Have the best day of your life, be grateful, make good choices, there's that right there, and go help somebody. Okay? And I say those 4 things because to me, those are the 4 things that I go through and teach to sell that are the format of having an amazing life. Okay? So going back to the discipline that leads to the habit that leads to the success, there's a guy named Jocko Willink that I quote in the book as well. Jocko is a former Navy SEAL. He's highly decorated. And Jocko says that the freedom is aligned with the discipline. If you want freedom of money, you have to have discipline to save money. If you want freedom of time, you have to have discipline of how you invest your time so that you can then develop freedom of time. I've got freedom of time, yet I also have discipline with my time. And what does that mean? That means that I am committed Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Fraser, are you still here? Let me see if Fraser's here. Fraser, I got a question for you. Where you at, brother? I don't know if he's still here or not. All right, Fraser's a good friend of mine. He stayed at my house a few weeks ago, about a month or 2 ago, for a few days. And I was going to ask Fraser yeah, he's there. Fraser, can you talk? No Fraser? Fraser going once, Fraser going twice. So Fraser was at my house. And I think what Fraser observed was At 9 a.m., I'm doing a stand-up meeting with my team or I'm training people every single day. At 9:30 to noon, every single day, I'm lead generating or lead converting. From noon to 5, I'm going on appointments. Typically, I'm done by 4. I will book myself until 5, but at 4 o'clock, I'm done. At 4:30, I'm at the gym. And by 6 o'clock, I'm with my daughter or I'm with people and friends. That's my life. I don't work Saturdays. I don't work Sundays. I have around 45 hours a week scheduled, but within those 45 hours a week, I have discipline. Okay. Now, the challenge that you may have by hearing that is you may say, well, I'm not disciplined. We all have the opportunity. We all have the ability to be disciplined. When you understand and you're able to fill the gap, when you're able to fill the gap of who you are and what you're doing, at some point it becomes a habit. For me, lead generating is a habit. I've done it for almost 20 years. I can't not do it. I have to do it because if I don't do it, I feel like I didn't even do any work that day. If you're a real estate agent, you go to and you have 2 or 3 closings today, you're probably going to be celebrating. And I would be as well. Yet, I also recognize that I probably didn't have time to actually do my job if I have 2 or 3 closings right now. So I'm going to make sure that I still do my job. All right, guys. We're going to take a break here in just a minute. Before we do so, I want to hear some ahas, some observations, some questions, some thoughts, some feelings. Who'd like to share with us, please and thank you. Anything that Vika said, anything that I said, anything that's a burning question, a desire that you have, anything at all. What you got?
I want to thank you. It's kind of like I've come to some of those conclusions myself without going into a lot of detail. And I'm sitting here going, yeah. And I feel, what's the word I want? Confirmed, reinforced, you know what the word is, but reaffirmed because you guys have done it again and again and mastered it. So thank you.
You're welcome, Dorothy. Thank you for being here. Who'd like to share next? Who has an aha, an observation, a feeling, a thought that they'd like to share? A thought or a feeling? Who would like to share next?
I will.
Kendra
It
from San
was
Diego, now Puerto Rico.
yeah. So I had an interesting call yesterday and it was a rejection. And it was just good to have that validation again to remember, don't take it personally.
So you got rejected and you were reminded to not take it personally. How'd you do that, Kendra?
I kept telling myself yesterday, let it roll off my back. They're in a tough time trying to understand their situation and just move on to the next. But it does affect you. But
I do a mastermind that I host. Well, it can affect you. Hold on, Kendra. Sorry, I don't let negative affirmations slide past me. I just heard you say it does affect you. I would invite for you to rephrase that as it could affect you.
Yes, it could affect me.
Yeah. And we could also choose that it doesn't affect you.
And I did choose that it did not affect me.
Fantastic. You should be proud of yourself. I do an exercise. We do a mastermind at my house once a quarter. It's a high-end mastermind where our highest and students invest 3 days of time. They come visit me in my home. We do a lot of exercises, that type of thing. And one of those exercises is I take a $100 bill. And when we talk about the rejection, I take that $100 and I say to the audience, the live audience in my home, I say, how's your relationship with rejection? And they say whatever they say. I said, if I said F you, and I don't say F, I actually say the word. And if everybody else here said F you and you had to go down a line, a gauntlet of rejection, at the end of that gauntlet of rejection, you got the $100. Who wants to sign up for that exercise? Would you sign up for that exercise? All right. I think that we can mostly all see that. But the problem that we have is that we've let the fear of rejection get in our way of taking action in business. And that's an opportunity for you because in business, I don't want to create this as your reality, yet it is possible that you may have a lot of rejections on the way to the yeses. When you recognize that and you know that at the end of those rejections, there's a $100 bill, or maybe it's a $10,000 bill, now you can accept the rejections and be like, whatever. At the end of this gauntlet, I got, I'm able to help somebody. And I'm going to be able to earn a good compensation for doing so. You guys follow me on that? You good with this? All right. I'm going to introduce you to Justin Stoddard after the break. We're going to take a quick 4-minute break. We're going to play a video of you on there as well. While I do this, who here has ordered Teach to Sell, by the way? Raise your hand if you've ordered it, or Rocky's ordered it. Johnny Root has. Steve has. Cindy has. So many, Mindy from India has. Thank you for all of you that have pre-ordered it. Today, when you pre-order Teach to Sell, you're going to get $10,000 of on-demand training. All right. We put together the 4 portals. So I can't give you enough training in 3 hours time. Even when I bring in great presenters like Vika and Yori and Justin and others, I can't give you enough of great training. Okay. Because there's not enough time. But what I can do and what I have done is I put together a training portal that takes 50 plus hours of training on demand that will walk you step by step through the processes that you're learning over these 3 hours, that you could take in bite-sized chunks. Take it as you need it. I'm giving that to you. We charge $10,000 for that training. I'm giving that to you in the pre-sale of Teach to Sell as a gift from me to you. So get the book. You get access to the on-demand training. It's my gift to you because I am on a mission to help 1 million service-based professionals to have consistent and predictable income. And I'm so committed to that I'm giving this stuff away for free because I want to be able to help, because it helps me to fulfill my mission. And when you get the book and when you enjoy the training, share it with others, because I need your help to be able to get the word out there. So I'm going to take a 4-minute break. I'm going to play a video while we play this break. Leslie's going to put in a link there that you can get your copy of your book right now. Go order your book right now so that you get the bonuses, and that I can help you. I'll see you in 4 minutes, and I'll introduce you to Justin Stoddard.
Hi, I'm Anita Carasosa.
And my name's Rebecca Teach Kim Wappling.
I'm a federal officer, and I really enjoyed Dan's presentation.
I want to say it's fantastic.
It was a very inspirational presentation.
If I had Dan Roshan's information 5 years ago, it would have given me more confidence in trusting leadership.
Gosh, if I'd had this information when I first started 8 years ago, my gosh, it would have been different for me, my experience in the workplace.
My favorite part of the presentation was the movement where we had to split into 2 groups and move out and come back in, and it was very challenging and eye-opening.
It just makes me realize the impact that we have working with our clientele.
It really gave me the sense that we are who we are because of the stories we tell ourselves and the perception that we have of life.
I was a single mom. I worked all the time. I got into real estate so I could provide a good living.
I'm going to be a realtor now for 10 years, and nothing's changed in 9 years.
What I'm getting a lot of with FSBOs is I'm using the approach, hey, is this house available? When can I come see it? And the response that I've been getting a lot is, well, if you bring a buyer, you can come see it.
You only got one source of income, you're vulnerable because your job basically owns you.
I've been in the business a long time, as you know. And my biggest hang up right at the moment is technology.
I need to get my energy back.
From the very start of your class, finding why we love real estate and finding why we love doing what we do has just ignited us and lifted us back up.
There are hundreds of ways to be successful in this business. You have to find your way. If you're not a door knocker, don't knock doors. If you're not an open house person, don't do open houses. Be who you are, connect with your audience. That's your tribe, those are your people.
And yesterday I got so excited I sent out 30 text videos. I was so happy to do that.
Every time I do those video text messages, I always get a good response.
And that excitement, that level of finding why we love what we are doing and allowing her to be really personal has just kind of blown the roof off of what was happening in the last month or two. So thank you for that.
I'm here because you are the best real estate coach I have ever met.
Having done this before with you, it works.
In fact, you have a gift for teaching.
Man, I go sideways. I don't know why I do, but I'm tired of it.
And I keep refining.
And I know this works.
I intend to master this.
And that's why I'm here.
I'm also here because you keep letting me come back. You keep asking me, guys. He never makes you go away.
I had zero. I had like no closing since March. I had nothing. And now I have 8 that are pending. When I took this class, I was told I didn't like have anything in the queue or anything like that. So I was like totally flat the first time I took it. And then I like took copious notes and just started applying everything that I learned in the class to my business. And I just like everything really just took off for me. I'm having 2 closings today. I'll have 3 closings total this week. Just got one under contract yesterday. You know, just what you said it wasn't even like, it wasn't anything that I couldn't handle. This is just like really simple stuff. If you just do what he tells you to do, you'll be successful.
I was struggling to get sales. For me, maybe I'm just not supposed to be here, and months with no business. It's not an easy job. I was ready to get out of the business.
Some cash flow issues.
Hey there, I just finished the 5-day boot camp.
He's opened my eyes to a lot of things and taught me things that I just haven't been able to get anywhere else.
If you're looking to build a more consistent business in real estate, you must call Dan Rochon.
I totally recommend it to anybody.
So thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Great job. Thanks.
It has been really helpful to me in my life and very importantly in my business. So can't say enough good things about coaching from Dan Rochon.
All right. Well, welcome back. Richard, of course I remember you. I didn't know that was you, though. But thanks for letting me know that. I will that I sent you a link there. So I'm replying to I'm replying to some of my private messages. Should I be doing that publicly? Should I be replying to the private messages? Like, you know, like just calling them all out here? I guess that's why they sent me a private message. Nonetheless, hello, Justin Stoddard. I want to introduce you to my friend Justin. I've known Justin for, I don't know, a few years now, a long time. I consider him a good friend of mine. And he's the CEO of a company called Pro Insight. And Pro Insight's a relationship-based business. Justin will tell us more about that. He's also the author of a book called The Upstream Model. And the Upstream Model talks to us about how to be able to get business that from somebody that has multiple streams of business that can refer to you multiple. Those of you that were on the shadow hour with me earlier, you may or may not, that second call it was the first call I had where you may have seen me go like this at one point. I didn't mention it after the call. I want to tell you why I went like this. Who here was on that call and remembers what the guy's profession was? Who here was a part of the shadow hour earlier today and noticed what was the guy's profession?
If you were talking about the first one, he was a financial advisor.
Yes. Right. So Justin will tell you why I'm giving that a big thumbs up at that point. Justin, lead generation.
I love it.
Welcome.
Man. So good to be here with you. I have some slides prepared that can I share those? Is that okay? I got ability to do that. Awesome. I was hoping so. So I just want to start off by, can we all just give thanks to Dan for hosting this for us today? Like, just like maybe a quick, like some form of like, thank you. You guys realize the Herculean effort it takes Dan and an entire incredible team to pull something off like this so that we can all sit around and learn from decades of his successful experience. Like, I just want to begin by just saying thank you, Dan. I think right now we're in the middle of a holiday trifecta where we've got Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, right? Whether you celebrate all those or not is not the point. The point is that we start with gratitude And then the month of December becomes a month of renewal, and then recommitment in January. And so I just want to begin that by saying thank you, Dan, for putting together this for all of us. And it just speaks to much of what I want to talk about today. Well, first is, but breaking news, you're all awesome for being here. It's too many people sign up for stuff and they don't actually come. So that's the breaking news for everybody. In fact, it almost looks like this was filmed in Dan's workspace there. If you look at the walls, I think actually that might be Dan. Anyway, so what I want to share today, and like maybe by a show of hands, if you have ever felt like the word sales is used in a way that isn't very glamorous. Anybody ever heard that before? Like, are you trying to sell me something? Oh, that guy, he's kind of salesy, right? Or that gal, she's just always trying to sell something, right? You guys ever heard that before? Have you ever felt that way? That like that term is used as if it's like a 4-letter word, right? A different 4-letter word. Well, I'm here to on an errand of Dan's, because Dan has taught me this. Not only has Dan taught me this through his words, and through his writings, but through his actions, is that you can be at the top of your industry selling without embodying any of the characteristics that would cause somebody to go ooh, right? And it all comes down to this belief here, which is that you go away from being transactional to a place from the heart, a place where you really have, you actually care about the people on the other side, not about your outcome and what you make from that, but you actually care to get them into a better spot. And by the way, that's how relationships are made, is that when the person who you're building a relationship with, whether it be in your personal life or whether it be in your professional life, is that person actually feels that you have their best interests in mind. Okay. So what Dan has really laid out here, and what has really been the documentary of how he has succeeded at the highest levels in the real estate industry, and now what he's taught is now overflowing into so many other industries, is that you can actually sell from the heart. And that is by teaching, right? That is by actually teaching. And so before I get into that, I want to maybe kind of share this thought with you. And by the way, I've learned these things from Dan's book, Teach to Sell. Like what I'm sharing with you here is kind of a preview of what's to come for those of you that have purchased. This is a snapshot, a couple little highlights you're going to get. And there's so much more. But you'll actually see these graphics inside the book. Like you're going to love it. I want you to think of it this way, is that there's always going to be some sort of cost to generating leads. And that's what we're here to talk about today, is that you can generate leads in a number of different ways: through money, right? By simply buying, through marketing, advertising, right? Through time, where you're prospecting, where you're outbound, reaching out to other people to engage them in a conversation, whether that's door knocking, whether that's open houses, whether that's calling, right? And then there's the networking costs, which is one I have a particular affinity towards, as Dan described. I've authored a book and built a company around how to build networks that actually lower the cost of time and money than what you normally experience. So, but just know that whatever you choose, there is some cost associated with it, right? There's always a cost. And sometimes the cost includes, by doing this, I'm saying that I'm not doing this, right? Which is, all that's okay, but it's just being aware of the fact that there's always a cost, and being aware of what that cost is so that you can make an educated decision on what that looks like. Now, back to the topic of generating leads when it comes to doing it from the heart, right? When you come with that mentality and that kind of soulfulness of, I actually want to help people. I'm not just here for me to collect a commission. I'm not just here for me to get my product in people's hands, but I'm actually here because I truly believe that I can help them. Okay. When you get to that point, and I believe that's why you're all here today, right? I believe that if you're in Dan's world, you realize that's who Dan is, and you want to continue to learn from Dan. Okay. So with that being the case, here are some secrets that Dan has shared with me and he's sharing with you, is that everybody who you want to help in the world of helping to sell them, right? To really move them to a better spot, right? That's what selling is. You're actually moving them to a better position, a better place. Okay. There's some sort of fear that they have right now, right? There's something that there's a chasm, right? Like this giant ravine. Okay. Because they're over here on this side and they want to be over here, right? And your job is to identify that you actually are the bridge, that your product, your solution is the bridge to get from one side to the next. So all of a sudden, this concept of like, I don't want to be salesy. Like, I don't want to knock that door or go to that open house or make that phone call or go to that event because I just don't want to be salesy. Well, you're only salesy if you're not actually if you're coming out of only your own self-interests. But if you actually come from a place of like, I know I have something that can help people, and it would be selfish of me to not go share that. There are people right now who are on the other side of this big ravine. They're over here and they don't know how to get across it. They don't know. And they're stuck over here and it's keeping them up at night and it's causing them to live a less than life than the one that they want. And I have the bridge. I just got to show them the bridge, right? When we start to really embody that, we really start to fully say, this is who I am. I'm not just a salesman, right? I'm somebody that helps get them across that ravine to a better life, to a better situation, right? We all ought to embody that, because as soon as you start to have that paradigm, then you'll be open to embracing the other things that Dan wants to teach you, right? Because the tactics and the skills and the strategies, all the stuff that is absolute gold won't work if in your head you're saying, but I don't want to sell. I don't want to be salesy. You've missed the point of what sales is all about. Sales is simply improving people's lives. Okay. Which sometimes is you actually saying, this isn't for you. You should not buy that. Right. That's what true salespeople do. But in most times they do need what you have. Right. And it's you being confident to tell them, I can help you. I want to help you. And not just saying that, but having them feel that. Have you ever been around someone where you don't just hear from them that they like you or that they love you, but you feel it? My mom's somebody like that. I love my mom. And she says, I love you. And she says that. And imagine everybody in their life right now has somebody who at some point in their life, they would say, I love you. And you could feel it from them, right? Now, I'm not saying that you go tell all of your prospective clients that you love them. That would likely be overkill. But the point is, people know how you feel about them. If they are simply a pawn in your game to your next commission, right? They will feel nothing. They might even feel that way used. But if you actually care about them and you actually want to help them, okay, they will feel that too. So come into that with that desire, okay, knowing that you can help them across. Now, this is beautiful, right? And let me kind of walk you through, is that so many people have not yet even come out of the ground. Like that belief down there at the bottom, they don't believe that what they do is actually noble. They think it's can be kind of ooey, but I better do it anyway because I need the money. I'm here to tell you, Dan's here to tell you that you need to have a different belief, right? So that's first part, that's coming out of the ground, okay? And then you begin the process of actually generating leads, actually people who you can help, right? And they're not just leads, and we call it that because that's how everybody recognizes it, but it's really people who you can help, right? That's what a lead is. It's somebody who needs what you have, okay? So you start to generate that. And then the next step is you start to teach other people how to do what you did, right? Now you're building an organization of people who are out helping more people. Again, don't be selfish with what you have. Help more people. In other words, sell more things and teach other people how to sell more things. Okay. And then the last part of this is you become a leader. I was actually had a hard conversation with my business partner. At one point, he said, Justin, you are one of the best leaders I've ever met. You are the guy to get in and then like put the shovel in the ground first and go to work and lead by example. He said, what's yet to be determined if you can be a leader of leaders. In other words, can you lead other people that are like you? Or are you just going to be a great person who just leads a few people? Or can you lead other leaders? And that's where Dan's taking you ultimately, right? Teach to sell causes you to start to have people around you who want to be like you, not just clients who want to be served by you, but other professionals around you. They're like, man, you've taken the ooh out of sales. You've made it something noble, and people want to start to be around you, because not only do they feel good about themselves, but the people that they're serving are in such a better spot, right? And then, right, you get the opportunity to start to lead even more people with that mission, is that we have the most noble profession out there because we simply connect people to the solutions that they need, right? That's where this really starts to get really beautiful, okay? Now, once you kind of, as you progress down this path, right, some of the more tactical, strategic things that Dan will teach you, both from his book and what we're going to learn for the rest of the day today, is that there is a very simple process, okay? But again, the belief has to be at the core of it, right? And this vision of like, this isn't just going to be me, right, solving people's problems all day long, but I'm going to start to lead other people, right? Now, all of a sudden, you realize how far your impact can go. And by the way, the greater the impact, the greater the income, right? Your lifestyle starts to improve, not just because you feel good in your heart because you're helping people, but because the marketplace is compensating you for the difference that you're making, okay? So how to catch more clients, right? I'll run through this quickly, and I'm sure Dan will be expounding upon it, right? But get a guide. And I would say today, Dan Rashawn is our guide. He's the one that hasn't just written the book on it. This is the guy that for decades, like literally, has, for those that don't know, like 10 closings on average every month. Do you know how many the average agent, I think it was 75% of the real estate agents last year didn't sell a home? And it's terrible, right? We don't like talking about that because it's awful. So many people were in pain because of that. Yet here goes Dan, right? On average, 10 closings per month, every month for over a decade. It's unbelievable what he's done. Absolutely. So if you're going to choose a guide, choose Dan, right? Prepare your approach. Okay. Be sure you've got what you need to actually be successful, and get your skills right, right? That's the whole purpose of Dan now leading other people. He's like, man, what I have done has been working for me. How dare I hoard this, right? How dare I not share this with other people, right? So he teaches you the skills, like actually having something that works. Choose your strategy. As Dan mentioned just a few minutes ago, if you can't stand door knocking, then don't do it. The reality is this: if you don't love the way that you're generating leads, you're only going to do it on days that you feel like doing it, which, by the way, is never going to work, because it's about consistent, predictable income, which comes from consistent effort. So find a strategy that works, that you actually like. This doesn't feel like work. Like, I just like this. I get up and I do this work every day, and it's aligned with my DNA, right? And be sure with whatever those strategies are that you're utilizing them when there's actually a demand in the marketplace, right? When fish are biting. So I just want to wrap up, you guys, by saying that, number one, kind of bring this full circle. I'm not only grateful to be here and for the effort that Dan put in to make this all possible, but the fact that he would take what was working for him at the highest levels and spend the effort to write a book on it, and then spend the effort to do an event like this for all of us and charge us nothing to be here. Like, we should, and by the way, the greatest way that you can express gratitude for Dan, for what he's doing, is to, number one, apply the principles that he's teaching. Like, from a coach's perspective myself, the biggest thanks is just do something with this, and then to tell other people your story, right? Just get the word out. And so, again, very grateful to be here. Dan is a mentor of mine and a very dear friend of mine, and I'm privileged to be here and to let you know that this is the guy you should follow. And teaching to sell is the path forward. Because, by the way, people don't want to be sold to anyway, right? They don't want somebody salesy. They want someone who has a heart that actually cares about them and can get them across that ravine to the life that they actually want. And you're positioned now to be able to do that. Dan, back to you, my friend.
Thank you very much. I want to, well, let me, I was debating internally on what order I wanted to do this. Pro Insight. Tell us about that.
Yeah, you bet. I wrote a book called The Upstream Model, which is essentially that networking component that Dan described. Is when you find people in the marketplace who share your same ideal clients. Like, for example, financial advisor, right? The one that had Dan shaking his fist. Excuse me. if you have identified that there are other professionals who serve your same ideal clients, and you would love to find a way to have 30 of them around you in 30 days, that's what we do at Pro Insight. We built technology to go find the very best professionals in your community who don't compete directly with you, but they complement you, other industries. We help you do a launch. I had a frog in my throat, excuse me, guys. A launch, and in 30 days, we get 30 partners around you to where you now have referral partners on all sides helping you. So that's what we do at Pro Insight.
Thank you, Justin. And Leslie, if you can drop into the general chat about Pro Insight. And I'm sorry that Vika's not here. I also want to put into the chat U2 Shine is YU, the number 2 shine.com. If you could put both those into the chat. And then if everybody can take yourself off of mute before we meet Yuri. If you could take yourself off mute, 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 off mute. I can see you if you have your mute on. All right, and join me, Justin. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Justin.
So,
you the man. All right, Yuri Sacco from iSpeed to Lead is up next. And iSpeed to Lead is a real estate lead marketplace that sells pre-qualified, motivated seller leads to investors, wholesalers, and agents across the U.S. I am a client. And Yuri's going to talk to us about lead generation. So where Justin's talking to us a lot about like the upstream model, about getting multiple or getting a relationship with people that have multiple referrals, like a financial planner, like an attorney. This is for real estate agents, maybe a probate attorney, a divorce attorney. Those are some of the people that would be upstream from you. Where a divorce attorney may have the need to refer multiple times every single year. What Yuri's company does, iSpeed to Lead, they're looking more tactfully of like people that need to sell today. All right, that are filling out a form and saying, hey, I'm raising my hand. I got a property. Typically, it's going to be distressed. Typically, it may be more appealing for an investor than a more traditional buyer. And that's what Yuri's company does. And we'll have a chance, Yuri, to talk more about that here in a few minutes. Yuri, lead generation. Hello, welcome. How are you? I got to find you. Where are you? There you are.
Thanks for having me. So I actually tried to put a quick presentation about all lead generation. So since I know plenty of people are familiar with iSpeed to Lead, I'm going to talk about iSpeed to Lead a little too. But the whole idea, I would like to cover some of the common ways of lead generation that investors, agents, and probably applicable in all industries out there. I'll be glad to answer any questions too. I've been in sales for 10 years. I've been in lead generation for 3 years now. Did plenty of things, worked in different industries. So if anybody has any questions, I will be glad to answer them. Having said that, I also got a quick presentation that I'll be sharing that will be helping me throughout the time. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share that. Let's go.
You should be able to. Yuri, where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Ukraine. I was based out of Clackamas, Oregon for 7 years. So if anybody on the West Coast, saying hello.
It's our second Ukrainian of the day. We had 2 Ukrainians, a Dan and a Justin. That sounds like
Amazing.
a setup for a joke. A bad
Amazing. So here is a
we'll
couple
make
of
Dan
things.
the butt of the joke. Go on. Sorry, Yuri.
No worries. So some of the things, first of all, I want to talk about this thing because I know a lot of people don't talk about this, but are we actually serious? Are we taking our job as a full-time? And I know Dan is talking about commitment, and you'll have different sections about all of those type of things. But the reason I'm asking, because a lot of things that we talk about lead generation takes your time to put effort. It takes time. So if there is no commitment, like all this conversation is probably like less relevant. So are we actually serious? So if the answer is yes, and we are serious, so in this case, you have two types of actual time during your day. First one is the working time, when you do direct sales activity. We are sitting down, we're making dials, we're working with VAs, managing people, whatever you do to generate leads and close deals. But there is also very underrated time, is the thinking time. So if you can afford just sitting down at your job or at your work to have some strategic time, is fine. For a lot of people, I have 3 children. I did plenty of jobs in the past, so I noticed that I've been the most successful when I was kind of thinking about work and being successful, even like outside of that. I'm not saying you shouldn't spend time with your gym children, talk to them, and do this commitment, but just notice to yourself, like, what you're really thinking about. Like, is it time is productive, or you're just, kind of wasting time right now? What do you listen in the car? What do you listen in the gym? Are you really doing something productive? Because this is a time where you can really evaluate some things that you did, and this is where the time you can adjust and you can be more prepared to attack when the direct sales activity starts. So I hope we cover this. And the second thing, maybe it was already shared today, but AI is big right now. Use GPT, Gemini, Claude, conversation wise, back and forth, how it can be the best investor, best agent, best salesperson, best stuff, what's the lead gen options. Again, you're considering brokers, which team to join, you're considering to getting a job, go to GPT, ask questions. You're considering different lead gen, different things, go and ask. Just ask, ask, ask. Free thing, I mean, GPT is free, Gemini has a free option. $20 GPT, probably still one of the best subscription out there. It can help you with KPIs. I know Dan is big on that when he talks about lead generation. You gotta track, you gotta know what you do, you gotta know how much you produce. GPT can help you with that too, or Gemini, Claude, you name it. So another thing which is underrated, because I'm going to talk about confidence. I'm not sure if some people are here new or already like very experienced investors, but if you are new, it doesn't matter if you're new or not new. We launched several products and I noticed you got to have confidence everywhere. It doesn't matter if you started the first day, second day, you've been 10 years. If you're not confident, especially in real estate industry, you're not going to pull anything. So you got to be confident. How I get confident? You get confident with the reps. Some of you might have previous experience in sales, so you have advantage. Congratulations. If you're an agent who is going into investing side, congratulations, you have some certain advantage. If you have no advantages, let's imagine there is a person who has no advantages. I don't know how to talk. I don't know anything. I know how to call, nothing. AI can help you with that too. There are voice modes inside of AI that you can role play. You can tell, hey, you'll be seller, I'll be myself, I'll try to close you. Give me feedback. You can do those things. So go and practice. So, and this is what we are talking here, right? Confidence is reps and feedback and scripts. So I think Dan has some scripts in his teaching, in his brokerage, they train his people. Even if you're experienced, I always tell to people, have some scripts when you execute. And why it's so, even if you're experienced, because if you have some structure in front of yourself when you're actually working on leads, there is a higher chance that you will execute better when you have your down day. Okay, I understand we can talk about of being like up of your game, everything is happy, everything exciting, but we all know there are some crappy days, and you will mess up those calls when you have a crappy day and you don't have a script, because you will execute worse. You will project whatever happened in your life during this day onto the call, and you will mess up this one opportunity that potentially could make you a crap load of money. So I hope that's clear on this side. And Dan book talks about this too. And everything what talks about lead generation is either you pay with the time or with the money. Just simple as that. There is no different ways. There is no like easy way, like I don't pay anything and I don't work anything and money are just coming. Unfortunately, it's not about sales, and maybe there are some easy ways. Lucky situations happen, but can you create a system of doing this? Probably not. So, and I'm gonna break down some of the other things that actually will be either time or money. And before we go there, I know there is probably some agents in the room, and as you guys all know, I've been told this all the time, referrals are the best leads. We know that, okay? So when somebody referred to you, somebody knows you, best leads, no need to like call, put a lot of effort, it happens. So that's why the easiest way to drive social presence, especially if you are new, your social media, again, do all your people, neighbors, if you already have a page, know that you are investor. If you are agent, do they all know? They should all know. If you already helped somebody, you help somebody, like you listed the house, you help to sell the house, do they know anybody else who might need your help? I know Dan's book is actually pretty good in sharing how to actually get referrals. I think there is a whole freaking chapter about this. So, but this is a big thing. It's free again, and I'm gonna talk about this, about don't overthink, right? I know it by myself. It's like you start thinking, oh, like how my page, how my picture, this thing, like no, just do gem, announce, say, keep it updated. You're gonna update. In a year, it will look different. It's totally fine. And again, because one deal, here's the thing about real estate, right? So I just want to talk about lead generation. 1 or 2 leads can make a huge difference. 1 referral can make a difference if you will pass this first period of hard time, let's say first 1-2 months when you maybe decided to hire VA, maybe getting the package, getting VAs and starting managing all of that. So make sure you really conscious about when opportunity comes to make sure that you close it. If you have money, again, going from time and money, get a website. We'll help you with sellers. Most of them is gonna ask you like, well, do you have a website? Do you have that? You know, if there is an easy way of doing this. If you're with brokerages, you can use that too. If you're part of some company, you can use it too. If you don't, you wanna be by yourself, you know, carrot.com, they help you create easy websites. Just get one. Again, this is your social presence. You might get like 1 SEO lead and it will make a huge difference for you too. And again, just to reiterate, everything what I say can be wrong or right. Even like I told you, hey, put social apps and do this thing, but if don't overthink, gotta do it. Quality, time, and again, AI can help a lot with that. So AI is big on that. You can ask how I structure, how I do things. So make sure you use call calling, right? So let's go into lead generation. On the way, guys, if you have any questions, make sure to ask. But when we talk about cold calling or processing any leads, there are basically 3 options overall. Like anywhere you go, you either do things yourself, you either hire VAs, or you hire people who you train, or maybe agencies training, or you GV with people. So the third one, I want to talk a little bit more about the third one fast, because I think this is an underrated one. If you have money, but you don't have enough time, skill, or something, you should be considering, for example, even like investing side, because I've worked with investors. I'll just give example. You can invest in lead gen, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough skill. Think and look for people who have this time, who have the skill, and who don't have enough money. Again, and start treating it as a business. That's why I like Dan's book. That's probably the only reason I'm here, other than I just like Dan, he's funny. Because his book talks about building the actual business. Take the process to 80% and start thinking how you're gonna scale. In investing in real estate, you have a big advantage, which is bad advantage and unfortunate advantage, but there is a lot of commission-only structures. Acquisition managers are typically getting paid like 20-25%. If you go out there and say, hey, I have a system, I'm hiring, I'm gonna give you 40%, but I want to listen to your calls, I'm gonna learn from you, and we're gonna commit, you can get a lot of people willing to work for you. So just want to acknowledge that. How to call. Again, there are scripts. Eric Klein. Again, I'm not a coach on this side, but I know Eric Klein has a very good call script on this. Dan probably has this one too inside of his community. And if you want to do it by yourself, just to give a try, I probably wouldn't recommend to most people. I know I'm biased. I'm with ISP to lead, but again, average minimum wage United States of America, $25 per hour. So if you're cold calling instead of having some different job, and again, I'm not saying like you're doing differing, you're kind of wasting your time a little bit. When you're considering VAs, again, treat it like as a customer. You're the customer. You should be asking as many questions as possible. You should be knowing, you should be asking what are the commitments, what are the agreement, how we're gonna pay. You compare. I wanna hear the feedback from investors who use you. So this is the mentality shift. This is your buyer, your client. Doesn't matter what happens. And I spoke about this in AI GPT. Some people try to sometimes sell you course VA, oh, this is exciting, that exciting, this exciting. Pull back. Okay, everybody's doing his sales job, which is great. We are assessing now. Because the number of stories where people pick the service, pick the course, pick VAs, pick a group, and they've been upset is huge. And you don't want to be part of this. And the reason why it happens because they do their job and you're not doing your job in terms of evaluating everybody and comparing everybody. Ads, okay? So 3 things. I typically talk about 2. So this is 3 if you guys watched any of my presentations before. So in ads, there are complex things, okay? You gotta have creatives, you gotta plan, you gotta do this. Again, you can ask AI, there are some courses, there are free things. Overall, when you run ads, there are 2 considerations. The higher quality you want, price goes up. If you want people who are ready to go, ready to list, have a distressed house, price goes up. Wanna get that, we'll have less leads, higher price, hotter leads. Fine. Okay, wanna get higher volume and lower cost, you need to adjust your creatives, right? We're gonna say, instead of, hey, are you in distress, wanna sell your house, you will say, get an offer on your house, or check how much your house worth. So those leads will be less, but you need to expect, you need to adjust your scripts to make sure that those are colder leads, because ads can generate different leads, and you need to think for yourself how you wanna attack it depending on your budget and depending what you wanna do, right? So this is two angles. Another angle, how wide we wanna go. So the narrower you are in ads, the more you're gonna pay. Just simple as that. So you gotta either go wider. That's why investing, referral to other agents helps if you wanna go a little bit wider, or you can syndicate, as I say. So you can get like 3 agents together running one account. Again, as long as you all trust each other. And again, this is when you partner with anybody, I'm gonna say it one time, even your friends, even the like friends, buddies, family, other things, you gotta make sure you put some agreements in place so you don't get frustrated later. So you gotta make sure, okay, are we ready to do this together? Okay, good. Are we committing to this budget? Yes, good. Okay, let's keep going. Mailers, effective, old school. A lot of people who attack locally, they do this. Can be handwritten, can be local. So again, you will probably have to have somebody who'll be ready to pick up the phone, ideally you, especially if you're just starting, because this is the downside. The good thing that a lot of people who don't use ads, don't see it on digital, they're more likely to answer on mailers or cold calls. NPPL, last round, so ISP to lead, right? There are different PPLs. Obviously, I can give you our speech why ISP to lead is the best. In short, we do all the types of ads. We have network of 25 providers who submit leads to us. We screen them. We post on the platform. You can preview them before you buy them. So yes, you gotta pay for them, right? We talked about money versus time, but there are different coupons, different programs, different pricing structures, different packages, and different stuff. And here's another good thing. Unlike any other option on ISP to lead, when you buy a lead and lead is bad, you can also get a refund. So if, let's say, you're calling the seller, or you never got a hold of anybody, or you call the seller, he's not selling, just go to support, you ask for a refund, get the credit back, get another lead. So there are different PPLs out there. Again, if anybody has some particular questions, but if you talk about as many leads, we have 28,000 leads right now, like it's real sellers who want to sell. And in terms of transparency, how much you can see, in terms of like, we even have like little CRM for everybody. We're working on our own free CRM, by the way, for everybody too. We also have cash buyers and a bunch of other things. Having said that, just a free account. If you don't have an account with ISP to lead, you can just go to app.isp2lead.com/getbonus100. So if you create your account, you're gonna get $100, and registration is completely free. Just check it out, what's inside, decide if that's something what you do. So far, we have over 50,000 people registered with us. I think it's probably 40,000 investors, 10,000 agents, but we don't actually go after agents that aggressively, even though last couple of testimonial videos on our channel are actually from agents, from Chris Craddock and from, I forgot the name, but another guy in Team Serpy. He's one of the brokers too. Yeah, that's basically from my side, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
All right, I have a question for you, and then we're gonna move on with the presentation.
Oh, and I see Dan posted his link. Yeah, just use Dan's link.
Yeah, it's fine. Either link's fine. So my question for you, Yuri, is if you were a prospect, Chris is in the Vienna, McLean area. If you were a prospector, like, so we look at different ways to get business, right? So prospecting's a way, networking's a way, marketing is a way. All right. So when you use a company like ISP to lead, it's like you're sort of bridging the gap in between. You're still prospecting, but now you're prospecting to targeted leads. Okay. What would you say if there was one mistake that prospectors make? What would that one mistake be?
Well, are you talking about people who are just doing cold call and people who are using ISP to lead?
Well, either one.
Well, first of all, an ISP to lead, guys. So again, somebody did prospecting for you on our side. So when we have a lead, this is a final lead. Because if you start cold calling by yourself, guys, you're gonna go over like, I don't know, 1,000 record, 2,000 records. Maybe somebody is not somebody is not ready to do anything. So in terms of ISP to lead, honestly, there is still a lot of people untrained and trying to find a way to close every lead because, and we go deeper in this thing right now. In real estate overall, there are multiple ways how you can close the deals. You can list the house, you can wholesale, you can do creative option, you can do innovations, you can do a bunch of things. Most people are very, I would say, biased towards the thing that they either trained, learned, or did in the past. So, and it's kind of, hurting them. So there are some things like on our platform, I can say, like people not reading enough. I mean, we show people a summary and it says like, again, you shouldn't buy every single lead on our platform, okay? We give you parameters for a reason. We want to give you so many leads so you can have something to pick from. So you want to be picky. And the last thing I would want to probably say, if you talk about ISP to lead, is I mean, simple things, right? Like not asking refunds sometimes. People, like, I didn't like the lead was bad. Do you ask for refund? No, why not? I'm like, oh, I didn't know, or I forgot, or something. So that's, so you want to ask for those. And being wider. I think, and I'm biased towards that, but on ISP to lead, it's 20,000 leads nationwide. And you can see particular area, zip code, county, and what's inside of the lead. Lead who is in distress and want to sell now is different than the lead who wants to downsize in 3 months. But you will buy downsize in 3 months because you feel like, oh, it came in my area. I want to buy this lead because it's in my area. So, and you're missing an opportunity in another area that you could actually close or do something with that. So this is the one thing. And speaking of general prospecting, there's probably lots of things. I mean, with ads, you can miss easily the algorithm change. Facebook just changed the algorithm with Andromeda update. You need to have like 50 creatives to make it work. If you miss that, you're gonna miss that. With cold calling, retention with VAs is a big issue. So, and also here's the thing about ISP to lead, right? Over other cold calling, you're still paying any cold caller or VA gonna hire per hour. So they're not like really incentivized unless you hire by yourself and you put some structure in place. But still, most of them still wired like, hey, as long as I'm getting my hours paid, I'm good. So this is where this issue of misalignment, you will kind of struggle with that, because we, for example, we don't pay providers in advance. They post leads on our platform, we split. If you guys buy a lead, you're happy and you don't refund. If you refund, it's gonna take money from both of us. So that's where like motivation is there. If you talk about mailers, I think not picking up the phone when somebody is actually calling, like you gotta have a better system for that, and you gotta really do mailers on consistent basis. You gotta do that.
Yuri, thank you very much. I'm going to say rapport for cold callers, for warm callers, and for hot callers is the number one mistake that I see people make. It's a misunderstanding that your job, if you're calling somebody cold, your job is to not get the listing. It's not to get the deal. It's not to do any of that until you connect energetically with them, until you gain rapport with them. And so as sales professionals, we forget that our job is like, we want to get hired, we want to make a sale, but that's down here. You got to understand, where are you in the process? That's over here in step one in a cold call or a warm call, is to connect with rapport. Does that make sense to you guys? All right. Off of mute, off of mute, off of mute, off of mute. You guys should be following along here by now. Off of mute, off of mute, off of mute. Mr. Yuri!
Yeah,
thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you, Yuri.
Yuri. You're awesome.
You're awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and I want to talk to you. We're going to take another quick break. And then when we come back from the break, we are going to meet We're going to meet Brock Zevin. Are we meeting Brock next? I think we are. And Brock's going to talk to us about organization building. You'll meet him after the next break. Meanwhile, you can get a copy of the book, Teach to Sell, which is the complete blueprint of influence, the method to create no broke months. You're going to get real scripts, real stories, real guidance, and it is your daily confidence guide. So that's a little bit about the book. Next slide. It's going to give you the path that you can follow daily. And let me just tell you, this book took me around 5 years to write. It took me around 18 months to find a publisher to buy it from me. And it's taken me around another 12 months to promote. Okay. So that in of itself is a lesson, and a lesson of a lot of defeats, because there's not a publisher in the world that I have not contacted to introduce that book to them. And I'm grateful that Simon Schuster was the one to say yes. So I actually had two that said yes. They're the ones that I chose of the two. So the book's going to be able to turn your today's inspiration into action, and you're going to get the pre-decision compass. The pre-decision compass is about making decisions before you need to make that decision. For example, as a leader, I don't have a large, well, I guess my organization is getting sort of large again, but my largest organization I had was 150 people. And when I had that organization, I made the decision before I was encountered with the problem that if somebody comes to me with a problem, that I'm going to make the decision that works for the best of the majority of the people, not necessarily the person that has the problem. Because I found out early on as a leader of a large organization once upon a time that sometimes there was a conflict of one person would want one thing and another person would want another thing within the organization, and they may be at conflict. So I have the pre-decision compass to say when that happens, I just simply ask myself the question: if I choose option A, does that benefit more people within the organization, or option B, which of those is it? That's your pre-decision compass. Talk about the commit or quit framework. Vika, our first presenter, talked about commitment. And my recommendation on commitment is either commit or quit, right? But don't sit there and don't teetotal. Don't mess around in the middle. You guys may not know this about me. Or maybe you do know this about me. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I went to rehab in 2005. 2005. And when I went to rehab, one of the things that I learned in rehab was that the happiest people of addicts were the people in recovery. The second most happiest people were the ones that were still that were all out drinking. They're just like, I'm just gonna not even worry about recovery. I'm all in on my drinking. The third most happy people were the ones that were struggling in between. Well, what they discovered was the ones that made a decision, whether it's sobriety or drunkenness, they were happier than the ones that were still struggling. That's what commit or quit does. It saves you from struggle. Freaking make a decision and roll with it. Whether that's a decision that I'm all in or a decision that this isn't right for me. Either way, make a decision. So I'm going to take a quick break. Meanwhile, you can get your copy of the book. You get the 10,000 bonuses. If you've already ordered the book and you haven't received the invitation to the community, let us know on the break. Meanwhile, watch this video and then we'll introduce you to Brock Zabin.
Because I was trying many things and there was no direction.
I am very introverted.
I was considering pulling out.
I actually signed up for this class.
And I did it the way you teach.
Believe in your program already.
I really learned that there's a simpler pathway to consistency.
Been a super motivating week.
I'm getting a lot of value out of this.
We were a month into the actual certification course, had a sale.
I just want to thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan.
I just want to say thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. That was awesome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Camioni, and I'm a real estate agent in Southern Maryland, probably about 2 hours outside of Dan's market. I was licensed in June of 2001, so I'm coming up on my 24th anniversary. And I've been, for a couple of years, just working what I call my VIP group, just people that I've worked with in the past, my very favorite clients from the last 24 years. And it just, with the changes in the market, is not getting me to the production level that I've been used to. So my frustration was, how do I go back to working with clients I don't know? How do I go back to grinding it out was in my mindset, calling for sale by owners and expireds. And so what you've helped me to appreciate is that there's a better way to do it. And we're working on a program to make that happen. I also took 6 months off 2 years ago to help a family member that very close to me that was ill. And so that when I came back to the market thinking I could just pick up where I left off, the market had shifted. And so it was, sort of a couple of bad circumstances conspiring against me there. Sometimes you just have to get, pushed out of your comfort zone, and the coach that I was working with decided to retire. So at that point, I thought, wow, I've been in real estate for 24 years and I've never been without a coach. So what am I going to do? And I started looking around, and you had actually been prospecting me for quite a while for your coaching services. And I don't know if you recall, but I met you at a BNI meeting several years ago when I joined Marla Ballard at one of your meetings in Alexandria somewhere. And you were pretty impressive in that meeting, right? Just meeting you as an agent. And then I just decided, let me talk to Dan, see what he has to say. I figured you're going to tell me, okay, this is what you need. Now go figure out how to do it, which is, what I've been used to getting from coaching. Mostly, I think I just feel like I have momentum. I chose momentum as my word this year. And I know I have the skills. I've had plenty of years behind me to practice those skills. Some of them might be a little rusty, but I feel encouraged, positive, and I feel like I can implement what I already know and gain the momentum that I lost over the last year.
I'm a fairly new realtor. I've been in the business for about four months.
I'm a realtor, but I'm also a wholesaler.
I think the one thing that's missing from my business,
I'm not really very consistent.
Organization of time.
That's right. Consistency is what I'm really looking at. I'm a one-man show.
Have I been consistent with my prospecting? Absolutely not.
I'm selling real estate right now because I have.
It's hard, and I've spent a lot of years going 2 steps forward.
There were a lot of things that could have done differently.
5 steps backwards, and
there was no direction, what to adopt and what to leave, and
I'm intimidated not being able to speak the language.
Where to start and where to go.
2 weeks ago when I took your 5-day challenge, you say just pick up the phone and just...
The 3 strategies that Dan taught, my favorite one was picking up the phone or texting.
I am at that point of, I know when I focus on this and hire you as my mentor, I'm going to go big, just leave my regular job.
Found my way, and in my first consultation, Dan discovered where my strengths are. So him and I together, we realized it.
I think the one goal it was to focus in on just one thing. Like Doug decided that he wanted to do the for sale by owners program, and I was doing the Facebook part of it.
And so after he talked about 2 weeks ago, I actually just went and got 3 listings.
Since the program, I've doubled my income, and most of it, hey, hold your socks here, have been in my boxers.
I've been with Dan since 2015, but there, like what JJ says, the timing wasn't right. I had to put my efforts and my mind and all of my energy to fixing my home and a lot of stuff that are really serious, and that has passed. But the thing with me was I never gave up with real estate, even though I had to do it part-time. I knew in my heart this is the place where I'm at, so I never gave up. But I'm getting ready to go full-time.
All right. Thank you for your attention. Brock, I think we are running behind schedule. I know you got a hard stop, and I want to be respectful of that.
What's up, man? I moved my coaching client, so we are good. I was just texting her that I'm telling her I'm going to be running late, so I want to be committed to you and your audience and lean into you all. So not a problem at all, brother.
All right, give me 2 minutes then. I want to make an offer to the community, and then we're going to talk about organization building, and then Matty L will join us next. Matty L with the all right. Leslie, thank you very much. I want to tell you guys about the CPI VIP coaching. So one of the things that we do offer is a small group coaching with me, which is a weekly basis, 1 hour. And what we do during that coaching time is that we take a look at what's stopping you, whether that be self-doubt, or maybe you have an unclear sales process, or maybe you're multitasking and it's just like an overwhelm, or maybe you're procrastinating, or you just need the guidance, right? Or you just don't feel like you have a support network to be able to get you where you want to go. If any of that is you, imagine what having 1 hour a week with a coach that has been there, done that, and can guide you to understanding how to be able to get the best version out of yourself, whether that's believing yourself or where to find business or how to convert it or how to build an organization. If that is you, CPI VIP session is for you. It's $149 a month for 4 sessions. And oh, wait, it looks like it's $147 a month. Somebody changed the price on me already. Dag nabbit, that's $2 coming out of somebody's pay. Could be my pay, actually. Or you can get $997 one-time payment for 6 months. It's the best value for series performers. You can cancel anytime on the 147 a month. It's a no-brainer. It's something that if you're looking for the support, you're looking for the guidance, sign up for it now. Brock, welcome. Organization building.
Get into my mute button. Get into my mute button.
All right. So the organization building. So when we look at belief, we look at lead generation, we look at, now that when we believe in ourselves and then we're finding business, now it's about building systems and people around us. And I know you've got an incredible support staff. I know you got a ton of virtual assistants. You were in the Philippines about 3 or 4 weeks ago visiting with your team. So I thought you'd be one of the best speakers to be able to talk about organization building. And I would like to learn more about that. So what would you like to share with us about building an organization that would be valuable and beneficial to the audience?
Well, the first thing I would say, and thank you very much for having me on here, and welcome everybody. It's been it's nice to see some of you I've seen before and been on some of our podcast show. And Dan, it's always a pleasure to be in your arena, in your environment. So thank you for the opportunity. Um, so the biggest thing is you have to start small. You can't, like, this becomes very overwhelming. How many of you on here be like, I'm not ready to hire somebody. I don't even know what I would hire them on. I don't even know what the hell I would do, Brock. I don't even know what I don't know. And that was really the biggest problem I had when I was trying to take that next step. And I see some of you nodding your head. And, Dan, I'm always a big person in the chat, but it's not my show. So I won't clog up your chats, but I always love.
Clog it up, my man. Clog it up. It is your show.
Okay. So put a 5 in the chat. Put a 5 in the chat. If I just spoke to you in reference to, like, I think I want to hire somebody. I'm not too sure if I want to hire somebody. Boy, I really would love to hire somebody. I just don't know where to go and how this works and everything else. And where you, like, there's so many unknown territories when it comes into this. So some of you got some 5s in here, are just like, so I'm speaking to some of you on here. And the key ingredient that I found out is I started small when I brought on my VAs. So I started VAs literally 3 years ago, and I really wasn't too sure. I went into a room. I spent $10,000 to go into this coaching program for 6 hours to be able to learn what it took to become around 7-figure earners. And what I learned is they leverage a lot of things, but I wasn't ready for leverage. And they kept saying VAs, VAs, VAs. And I was like, why do they need a VA loan? Like, I don't get this. Why do they need this VA loan? And I was like, oh, virtual assistant. Okay, interesting. And so I started to write down all the places. So my first homework, that for you all that are on here, the first tactical thing is, where would you hire somebody? What are some places that you find that weaknesses in, of like where I need work to be done? Would it be my MLS? Would it be cold calling? Would it be the iSpeed for lead, which I do use iSpeed for lead? Would it be transactions? Would it be wherever it is that you feel, boy, it'd be really nice to have somebody and leverage somebody else. Just like Dan leverages with his VAs and his team, he leverages that so he can work on what he's really good at. If you're looking for anything besides reading Dan's book, is understand yourselves. And I like to use the 6 Geniuses by Patrick Lenciani. And that's how I learned about my work behaviors to see where I'm weak and where I'm strong in. And I hire my weaknesses. So the first thing, besides writing down where your weaknesses are, is really understanding yourself and taking some assessments and doing different things. And then saying, okay, what can I afford? What is a budget that I can do or not do? And so I would take a look at really yourself and what that is. And I started my first VA. My first VA was $4 an hour, and she worked full time. That was my first hire that I did. Today, I have 5 virtual assistants that work on my team personally, and I have 33 in my company. But I had to build it up. I didn't just hire 5. I did one at a time. And once we realized, like, hey, I need a need here, and somebody's going to ask me, which I'm open, I'll answer any question that somebody has. Like, what do they do? Who does what each person do? And I have no problem answering that and help that out. But I want to lean into Dan because, Dan, I want you to ask me questions where you feel the audience is going to be best suited. But I really start small, find out where your greatest weaknesses are, be vulnerable, admit to it, and ask other people like Dan, hey, Dan, what do you use? How do you use them? How do you apply them? Because you, just like I did, you want to be able to learn from other people so you can apply it for your business.
Brooke, I'm curious, how much does it matter that you have an awareness of yourself before you look for support?
So that really is the biggest thing is so many people. So I was a school teacher for 12 years, an assistant principal, and I hired hundreds of teachers. And I interviewed a lot of people. And what happens is in our business as a 1099, we don't really know how to hire people. Our job is not to hire people because we'd be in human resources, right? So we really don't know what we are hiring. And so what happens is we just hire anybody that looks good, talks good, and sounds good, and we're just like, yeah, that's great. But we don't understand our own self and our weaknesses and where we're not really good at and our personalities. And so it's very important that we have to understand ourselves during this time period. That's why I said that one of the assessments, the 6 geniuses, the DISC assessment, the 5 love languages, these are all assessments that I personally take. So then I understand, like, hey, I'm not really good at following through. I'm really good at solving problems, but not following through. And so that's very important when you're hiring. You want to be able to ask them or have them take these assessments. So when you're hiring them, they will fit into your team, into your mold of what you're trying to look at. Just like in relationships, like, wow, I'm divorced. And so my new relationship is like, wow, this seems so easy. Well, this relationship, I understand myself. I understood her love language, and I started applying my love language onto her. And it's the same thing in business. I started to work with people who can help me grow my business where I'm weak at, and I don't want to go into their lane, and they enjoy the lane that I'm not good at. So it works really well. So understanding yourself is so important.
How often do you talk to your virtual assistants?
So I talk to them more times than they probably want. But every day we have a team meeting. So every day we do a team meeting. We used to do it at 8:45, but as you know, I do a podcast show from 8:15, 8:45, and sometimes it runs over, then we're behind, and we're like, gosh, we're starting our first meeting, we're always like behind. So we shifted it to 11:45. So from 11:45 to 12:15, I meet with them every single day, and we use the Slack, which is one of the programs for communication. So we use Slack constantly all the time throughout the day to stay in communication. It's on my phone. And I have a senior admin who manages a lot of it. But I mean, I didn't have this at all. The only thing I could do was meet. And so we would communicate. I'm very big on over communicating, and that was something that I could do.
So, last question, and because we're way off schedule right here, so I want to respect the other speakers that are getting bumped later and later. So, when you, what advice would you have for somebody who has never hired a virtual assistant before, has never hired anybody before, whether that's to mow their grass or clean their house or whatever the case may be? Or maybe they have done it before. What advice would you give them specifically? Like, what would you say avoid this?
I mean, first and foremost, you got to go with experienced people. Find somebody else who's doing a VA. Find somebody else who's hired somebody and ask them questions. Like, for example, like you and I both, I know we both have VAs. There might be somebody else on here. When I'm looking to grow and explore, like I'm getting ready to do SEO stuff for blogging. I went to a conference in Florida 2 weeks ago, and I learned about SEO blogging. I don't know anything about SEO blogging. So my questions to the person who was presenting, I said, hey, how did you start? What did this look like? How much time did it need? What cost is this? I did a lot of intake of like absorbing all their questions because they're doing what I want to do. So first identify somebody who's doing something that you want to do. And if VA hiring is that, identify that person and ask them a lot of questions. And then when I asked the CEO blogging person, I said, do you have a VA that does this? Because I would hire this out. And she says, no, I don't, but I know somebody who does. Let me get you in touch with this guy, Dan, who's in Florida. And guess what? Now Dan and I are talking, and he has a VA, and he's teaching me and telling me this is how he does his prompts. This is how he engages. This is how he does his workflow. This is his time period. So if there's anybody who's really interested in leveraging your business, identify somebody that you are leaning into, striving to become. They're running their business like you. Their alignment was with you. Their spiritualness with you. Their values are with you. And have a conversation with them. Reach out to them. Find them on Dan's program here. Screenshot and be like, hey, you know what, Kendra? I saw you in San Diego. Now you're in Puerto Rico. I've been thinking about moving to Puerto Rico. Could you tell me a little bit about that process, your story? I'd love to have a conversation with you. Kendra doesn't even know me, but I gotta believe she would have no problem. Be like, yeah, sure, Brock. I'd love to talk to you a little bit about. She's nodding her head right now. She's like, yeah, I would. And I don't even know Kendra. It's that simple. You just gotta ask people, and most successful people have no problem helping other people because they needed somebody else to do the same thing for them. So that would be my main thing: is identify somebody, reach out to them, find out who they are, and ask them questions, and then get in the right rooms with those type of people.
Brock, thank you so much for your time. I respect it, and excuse me for running over a little bit. Everybody, take yourself off of mute. 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 And join me to say thank you, Mr. Brock. Thank you,
Brock.
Appreciate
Thank
you, Brock. Thank you all. Appreciate you all. Thanks, Dan.
My pleasure. All right, let's talk about what we just heard Brock say and a couple added features from the book Teach to Sell. I want to share this slide of that's the one right there. So here's your homework, class. Your homework is to identify one system for you to improve. So I want you to think right now, and I want you to get out a pen, get out a piece of paper, and I want you to answer the following question. Don't think about it. Whatever comes to your mind is the right answer. What is one system in your business or in your life that needs to improve? Write it down, go. What is one system that needs to improve? What is one decision that when you make it will remove a bottleneck within your business? What's one decision that when you remove it will remove a bottleneck in your business? Or when you make the decision, will remove a bottleneck? What's one task that you could delegate or that you could automate? What's one task that you could delegate or you could automate? Now, I want you to look at your answers, and I want you to take your finger and point it to that page and say, this is what I'm going to do in the next 24 hours. And then I want you to do it. You guys good with that? No BS, no excuse, no reason, because when you believe yourself, you can believe in yourself. We learned that from Ms. Vika, from Dr. Vika earlier today. Rhythm over intensity is really important. I told some of you earlier that we're on early. I interviewed Leo Pereira. He's the CEO of eXp Realty. He's been a friend of mine for 20 plus years. I interviewed Leo yesterday, and he was sharing with me during the interview about how he sees agents go out and say, I'm going to go and I'm going to do 10 social media posts for the next 30 days. And Leo's suggestion was like, stop it. Don't do that. It would be much more effective if you committed to the rhythm rather than the intensity. So what would be better than doing 10 posts over 30 days? How about you do 1 to 2 posts, select one or the other. Don't say 1 to 2. Say, I'm going to do 1 post or I'm going to do 2 posts. And the reason why you don't want to give it 1 to 2 is because if you say 1 to 2, you might as well just say 1. Any range that you give, you're going to show up to the bottom of that range. So let's say it's going to be 1 post every single day for the next 365 days. That's something you could commit to. I've committed, and I just committed this basically from Brock's leadership. I learned this from Brock. I committed to doing 1 live every single morning before I start my day. Now, I've also intend to do a second live at the end of the day, but I'm not committing to it. What you can count on me is you can count that every single morning, 5 days a week, I will do a live. And I will use a lesson from Teach to Sell to be able to share that with my audience. And I hope that you join me in getting the word out there. The rhythm is more important than the intensity. You guys follow me on that? The rhythm is more important than the intensity. So these are some lessons that you can apply. You can apply this to building your organization, like what Brock was just sharing with us about hiring virtual assistants. It's about taking action every single day. You can use this in lead generation or however it is best suited for you. Let's go ahead and introduce you to our next speaker. Matt Lucensko, who is the EXP Regional Director of Growth. I'm going to say probably Midwest. I know it's...
Yeah, they have me covering all the flyover states from Arkansas and Oklahoma all the way up to North Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. So all the beautiful Midwest states.
All right. I was gonna say Midwest because I wasn't sure. So I was just saying Midwest.
Yeah.
So Matt is going to talk to us about leadership. And my definition of leadership that I go through in the book is that you teach somebody else how to think so they can get what they want. That's my definition of leadership. Matt, how do you relate to that? And what would you like to share with us about leadership?
I first of all, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come in here and, I had an opportunity to sneak peek on the book, and I love everything that you put in there and put together. And, what's fun about leadership is, interestingly enough, even though I've worn a lot of different hats in a lot of capacities at several different companies, leadership's one of those funny things where you either are striving for the title or you never feel like it, right? Or you don't even know you're doing it. And I think that's probably one of the things that I think stands out with great leaders is they never see themselves as leaders. They see themselves as more of like partners. Great leadership is, great leadership stands out in the sense that you can really identify bad leadership. And I think a lot of times the bad leadership that stands out is management. And, I think everyone on the call has an example of a time that they were led poorly. And, when I think about, your quote specifically, right? Teaching people how to think so they can get what they want, especially when they want it. It's the way that leadership was presented to me. And one of the models of leadership that I love most, and I mean, if you could go into any of John Maxwell's 37 books and all the levels and all the lids and all the laws. And yet the leaders that I follow the most are leaders of authenticity, leaders of results. They're people that I follow through vulnerability and transparency. And the best leadership that I've seen is leaders of self who lead by example, not necessarily having to do exactly what you've done. And yet you see their systems and processes in action on the daily. Those leaders have also great boundaries. They have high emotional intelligence and EQ. They can handle difficult conversations and situations with grace and candor at the same time, right? And so, I think oftentimes people raise themselves into positions of leadership a little ahead of when they've earned the opportunity, and that can create some challenges. Um, and yeah, so I love this topic, and there's a reason why there's an entire industry around this topic. And so I want to give you the opportunity to kind of to dig deep, and let's tackle specifically how we can bring this conversation to alive for your people.
What's the is leadership something that you can learn, or is it something that you're born with? What do you think?
I instantly immediately start like thinking about my daughters. And I think like what nature versus nurture, right? I think interestingly enough, like environment plays a huge role. I would say though that like I have a desire to serve and help others. That doesn't necessarily make me a leader. Definitely, I think there were some leadership principles, and I'm learning on how to be a better leader every single day. So I think that there are very specific qualities, tactics, and strategies that you can implement to be a better leader. And yet, I think at the core of it, for me, leadership and strong leadership really comes from service and elevating others and helping others at the highest level. So that I believe has helped me at my core. However, I mean, there's some great leaders that maybe they're going to say that that's not necessarily their like intrinsic motivation or thread, and yet they do a good job at it, but maybe that's not natural. Maybe they had to learn how to be a better servant leader as opposed to other qualities. So my leadership, like the way my leadership leads is through service. And then I definitely had to bring on some skills along the way too.
So you talk about nurturing nature. I mentioned to the audience earlier today that my daughter's adopted. And when I think about, my job, like my mission in life, my mission in business is to help 1 million business owners to have consistent, predictable income. My mission in life is to have love. My mission with my daughter is to open up the doorways so that she can step through them, encourage and prod and push gently, appropriately for her to walk through that door and make sure that the pathway is cleared in front of her. So when I think about my daughter, because she has zero nature from me. So as a leader as a dad, right? I'm leading my daughter. My perception is that I want my daughter to be able to reach the threshold, the highest level that her nature will allow for her to have. So there is this piece in my perception I go through in the book, and I talk about this, about how as a leader, you may have a certain level, a ceiling of achievement. Yet, are you obtaining that level of achievement? And then becomes the paradox. How would you know? Right? Like, how would you know that you're stretching the furthest that you could possibly stretch if there's another level to be able to stretch? Right? You would never know that. So what I'm going to encourage the audience today is just to believe whatever it is, whether it's leadership, which is a skill, if it's organization building, which is a skill, or lead generation or belief in yourself, that there is another level and there is something to learn. The last thing I want to say about leadership that I talk about in the book, and then I want to bring Matt back into this, is leadership doesn't necessarily mean good intention. There are leaders who have been horrific in history that have led, civilizations to destroy each other from bad intention. So understand that leadership is really teaching somebody else, it's that's what a lot of people think is it's about getting people to follow you. That's one description of a leader. And I reject that because I don't think it's healthy. So I revised it in something that I learned, and I know that Matt had learned as well. And I know where we learned this is just to teach somebody else how to think so they get what they want when they want it, as Matt would say. And so, what are your thoughts about what I'm sharing with you, in regards? I know I just threw a whole jumble of words at you, Matt, but what comes to your mind when I share that with you?
So the thing that comes to mind, and going back to, I think as parents, we always want what's best for our kids. And sometimes we mess up in that capacity as leaders by removing the resistance that caused us to have to level up in order to overcome what we needed to get to where we are today. Right? There's a statement, there was a quote, I can't recall who said it. I think I heard it from Jordan Peterson at one point, and he talked about hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. Right? And
well, thanks a lot for that paradox, Matt.
So all I'm simply saying is that like for my kids, I think, one of my responsibilities as their leader is to be the level of resistance at times when they need it here with support so that they can overcome the natural resistance that's going to hit them in the world. Right. And it's through a level of accountability, and it's through that kind of partnership with them as their parent to say, and you said about like good versus kind. Right. Like I'm not like, I'm a good person, but I'm not always kind. Right. And so like kindness sometimes misses that level of candor and accountability conversation that someone needs to succeed. And kind people love people out of the business. I'm a good leader, which means I'm not always going to be kind. However, that kindness is going to be with that lack of kindness, if you will, is going to be done with permission through expectations. So whenever anyone gets in a relationship with me as a leader, I think one of the biggest opportunities we have as leaders is, have we set clear expectations with our organization? And what does that mean? Is like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, when these things happen, how candid would you like me to be? How direct would you like me to be? Like, and here's what I would also expect and need from you. And so knowing who our people are, what level of candor and accountability that they're prepared for or can really digest or process is important. And same thing with my daughters at the same time is that, but then there's sometimes where I'm just like, hey, you know what? I have to put that hat off for a second. I just got to be dad.
Yeah.
And
I got you.
And say, hey, what do you need right now? Do you just want somebody to talk to? Do you need a vent? And then let it happen. And then I invite them to say, hey, when you're ready and you want to talk through options and strategies, I'm here. You know who I am. You know what I do. Or do you want me to get you with somebody that can give you a third party opinion because it's not from me? Because like, it doesn't matter if I say it or somebody else says the exact same thing I said. They're genius. And so, so just knowing when to step in and out of that as well. Right. So going back to care versus candor, kindness versus being nice, right? Or being good versus kind. All of those, that's all part of that EQ that's required of high-level leaders. And it's not simply enough to just say, well, this is my behavioral style. I am who I am. You flex to me. No, that's crap. Like that's crap. That's lazy. And that's really low EQ as a leader. That's a limited leader conversation. No one can, like, the only behavior you control is me. And so if I want to be super effective as a leader, I really need to understand how best to lead the people in my world. And so I have to flex my behavior, right? Like for instance, as a creator, as a fast start, I have to be surrounded by integrators and executioners, right? I can't have the same conversation I'm going to have in a room full of salespeople as a room full of hunters as I need to with everybody in my world who are skinners, processors, and packagers. Like that's a different conversation. I've got to have a different lead time and also expectations and also making sure that they understand I will be here for support and adjustments as needed. So you let me know, right? Like I can't just go in and be like, everything sucks. We got to fix everything now and go and do it. And they go, we quit. So yeah.
One of the things that I've learned in leadership, and it goes back to the organization building. So when you look at the pieces that are taught in Teach to Sell, they all go like in the order. It's a linear order, right? So first you have to believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. Then you have to go find business. Then you have to go to get the support around your business. And now we're talking about leadership. Yeah. But leadership applies to getting business. It applies to you're leading clients to hire your prospects to become clients, rather. You're leading clients to be able to do what they need to do so that you can get to the finish line, etc. What I've learned in leading is that it goes back into building the organization and having a clarity on who you are, who you need to be in business with to be able to support you, and then do you have a vision to be able to get there? You know, so before you even hire the right people, you need to know where you're going. That's your vision. Because great leaders, they don't just hire employees, they recruit believers in a bigger mission. So your vision is the foundation that attracts, that aligns, that retains the best talent. And having that vision is critical of knowing where you're going to go. So vision, the word vision in business means where are you going? Mission. The word mission in business means how are you going to get there? Okay. So you have to understand where am I going and how am I going to get there? And now I'm going to align myself with the right people. And then Matt, you said about now set expectations with them. So now the conversation becomes very, very easy. If you're running a business and you set expectations and we agreed on the expectations, then you're either fulfilling the expectations or you're not. If you're not, I'm going to look this way first. Am I giving you all the tools, all the resources, all the training, all the development that you need to succeed? And if the answer to that is yes, and you're still not succeeding, I'm still going to look this way and I'm going to say, I made a mistake. I put the wrong person in that position. And then my intuition is going to say, is there another seat on the bus for this person to be in? And if the answer to that is no, then I'm still going to look in this direction. I'm going to say, I put the wrong person on the wrong seat of the bus. I don't have another seat on the bus. Who do I know that may be looking for somebody for this person that may have the right seat on their bus? Okay. And now I may or may not have that connection. And if I don't, then we just have to part ways. But it's very, very easy because we agreed on what that person's going to do. They either do it or they don't do it. Now we've got a very clear, objective model to be able to follow. And that's the model that I go through and teach to sell. You've got a clear pathway of what to do and how to do it. So now your job becomes easy. So now you're meeting with your people on a weekly basis. You say, well, we said you would do 3 widgets and you've done 0. What do you need? Well, I need this, boss. Okay, great. Next week, we said you've done 3 and you said you needed this. I gave it to you. Where are we? I've done 0. And you keep having that conversation. And then at one point, you're just going to look at them with what I call the hairy eyeball. You're going to be like, all right, well, what are we going to do here? And it allows for you to improve in performance and allows for you to not be set up so that you are in a position to struggle. Matt, I threw a whole bunch at you again that time. What you got for that? And then we'll introduce the team to Curtis.
You know, going back to the beginning, just like you said, is leadership starts with self first. It's can you lead yourself to do the things that you know you should do when the feeling of it is now gone, right? And so are you able to lead yourself? Are you able to hold the promises and commitments that you made to yourself first? Because no one's going to follow you if you can't keep your own commitments to yourself. By saying, I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to do this by this day. I'm going to follow my calendar. I'm going to make sure that I'm, following my dollar productive activities first. Create your own results. Then you've earned the opportunity to help others produce their results, right? And then once you start showing proof of getting other people results, then you start to turn those people into leaders of other people's results. And then all of a sudden you start getting a track record for that. You start attracting high-level talent from all over because now your reputation is someone who delivers results and helps other people grow into their results as well. So it all starts with self. And the thing is that I think one of the biggest obstacles and challenges for leadership for most of the people on this call, myself included, is you let yourself off the hook for seemingly insignificant promises that you make for yourself. However, those are the energy around the way you lack commitment to your own promises leaks into your leadership. People see it. High performers can know when you're full of it. Top performers can identify when you're just a rhetoric and you're just a leader who quotes versus a leader who performs. Period. If you have challenge with that, it starts. Are you keeping your promises first?
I think you realize that on the last break, I was debating with myself because we're going to 4 o'clock Eastern time. My gym class starts at 4:30, and it's a 20-minute commute from here to there. So I was debating with myself whether if I should keep that small commitment to myself or not. And then Matt, through his extraordinary leadership, thank you, Dorothy, for the fist up. Through Matt's extraordinary leadership, just gave me the answer to my own question. So thank you for demonstrating that leadership to remind me that the small commitments make big differences. Mateo, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate you. And you know what's funny? This next gentleman, Curtis, he was plugged in my phone once upon a time. I think Richard wants to share something with us. We'll say hi to Richard real quick, but hold on one second, Richard. Curtis, I had him plugged in. I had you two guys mixed in my phone one day. And Curtis, and I told Matt this, I'll tell this to other people. So Curtis gives me a phone call and I answer. I'm like, Mateo. And he's like, Mateo? I'm like, Matty. He's like, Matty. I'm like, Matthew? Matt? He's like, how about Curtis? I'm like, okay, Curtis. So anyway, so I had you two guys mixed up. But Curtis, we'll introduce Curtis here in a second. We'll say some applause to Matt. Richard, what you got, my man? I haven't seen you for years. Richard and I used to be a part of a mastermind many years ago.
I was just getting ready to clap my hands.
Let me tell you about that mastermind, by the way. And we talk about like belief. I remember the first day I was in Richard's mastermind. It was a group of people. And I remember I was a newer agent at the time. And I remember the part of the cadence of that mastermind was how many transactions have you sold or something like that. And I was like the last person to go, and everybody in the group was like, I sold 500, I sold 2,000, whatever the case may be. And I'm sitting there like, I'm like, am I in the right group? But that's a lesson there to say, you know, when you put yourself in the right rooms and you're able to create really, really cool things. All right, everybody take yourself off of mute, 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 and join Richard and I to say thank you, Mateo.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Awesome stuff.
Dan, I was
Matt
always one
speaking.
behind. I was always one behind you. So.
One behind me. All right. Okay, Curtis Tyree. Curtis Tyree is another good friend of mine. I've known Curtis for many years also, and Curtis, you are going to talk to us also about leadership as well. And Matt, I don't know how much of that. I think you caught most of that conversation, but Matt and I were just talking about leadership being to be able to help somebody else to know how to think so they can get what they want when they want it. And Curtis is a Success 125 coach. He is he's been in the sales industry for many, many years. He's working in new home sales development now to help train those amazing people. And I know he's trained real estate agents, as Matt has as well, for many years. Curtis Tyree, welcome, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you for having me. And you don't know, I used to work with Matt.
That's right. They used to be, we could say they used to be bowl coaches.
That's right.
And how often did you guys conspire as bowl coaches? Did you guys like meet on a weekly basis, or what did that look like?
No,
Weekly and then quarterly. Yeah.
I mean, quarterly, at least in person or whatnot. And then a lot of times, obviously on Zoom when that became a thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You guys were doing that a little. It was probably Skype at the time.
Yeah.
Talk about a missed opportunity for the pandemic. Skype. What did they screw up?
No doubt.
Anyways, Curtis, talk to us about leadership. Welcome, sir.
Hey, good morning. Hey, you guys, well, good afternoon. Actually, you guys were doing a great job. I was like, oh, I want to get in this conversation, make it a 3.
Oh, we should have. You should have just jumped in.
No, I'm not going to take time. But no, you guys were doing a great job. Listen, awesome topic, right? Super fun. And I think we all, I think first, and you guys probably did this because I only got the last half of your conversation. And yet I think, I was having this conversation yesterday. Somebody asked me about leadership. They're like, oh, I want to get into leadership. And they says to me, they said, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to learn about, and she was talking about, she's actually going to take a college course. Okay. And I said, well, what are you going to do that for? And she said, well, I want to get into leadership. I said, okay, so tell me about this college course. And And she said, well, it's about all kinds of stuff. It's about, operations. And she's just started talking about all these structural things. And I go, well, that's managing things. That's not leading people. And I said, those are two different things, right? And so then we got into this huge conversation about leadership. And then, it's just what an amazing topic, right? And so I think before I came on here, I was just thinking to myself, and I think one of the things oftentimes that we miss is as a leader, at least when we're a new leader or at least getting into leadership, it's about others and it's no longer about yourself. It's no longer about yourself, right? And I think we have to figure that part out and get past that, and ego aside, it becomes about developing others and helping them get what they want so that you can get what you want, right? It's all about influence and doing it that way.
What if you believe, what if you're an audience member today, and what if you have a belief that you're not a leader? What do you have to say to that person?
I say they probably are. And even if they're feeling as if they're not, it's a skill and it can be developed, right? So I'd probably ask them some questions, hey, can you think of a time? And if I dug deep enough, there probably has been a time in their life where they've done it and they didn't know it, right? So it could have gone all the way back to grade school. I was thinking about that too, right? You could have been picked the leader to lead like a kickball team and pick all the players, right? And then put them in all the places, and so that's a leader, right? And unknowingly, you got that opportunity to be the leader of this kickball team in grade school, right? So if I question them enough at some point in their life, they've probably had that opportunity, just didn't recognize it at that time. So, and then if they're questioning as far as their skills, I mean, it is a skill and it can be developed over time, and you do get better. And quite honestly, it's ongoing. I'm always working on my leadership skills. Gosh, I got room to grow. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I would say that everyone leads another in some manner. And, for example, maybe you direct your spouse or your partner, or or they guide you, or you may lead a child or a friend, or certainly I hope that you're leading yourself. And by the way, go Rose Hill Rockets. I just want to say that for Matt, because you talked about grade school, and Rose Hill is in Shawnee, Kansas, which is in Matt's neck of the woods. So that was my grade school because Curtis brought that up. And that's a long-winded way to tie a whole bunch of 40 years of experience together into
And you
one
got to lead
ball.
the kickball team.
I got to lead the kickball team. How does leadership extend from your direct interactions?
Give me more clarity around that.
Well, let me share with you. Let me share with you my perception on it, and then maybe you could expand on it. So I believe that the nature of influence allows for you to have a ripple effect. So you can impact people who you've never even met through the way that you lead those, who are close to you. So I'll give you an example. Once upon a time, I was a waiter at a high-end steakhouse. And there was a particular client that would come in. I don't know if we would call him a client, I guess customer. And he would come in and he was the biggest a-hole in the planet. Like, this guy was a jerk. And I would always volunteer to go and wait on the guys. And one day, one of the other waiters was like, "Dan, why do you want to wait on the guy? He's an okay tipper, but he's just a jerk." I said, "Because I care for the next guy." And he says, "What do you mean you care for the next guy?" I said, "Because he's entering this restaurant as a jerk, and he's going to leave this restaurant as a jerk. But I have the opportunity to maybe lead his day, so he's maybe just a little bit less of a jerk when he leaves here. So the next poor schmuck, before Uber's, the taxi cab driver, so the taxi cab driver that he interacts with when he leaves here to go to Capitol Hill, this is in DC, that he's much less of a jerk to that person." So that's a way that I had an awareness of that at the time, but we may not realize the ripple effect that we have in our leadership where we're not even intending to lead. And that's what I mean by, like, what is the extension of leadership? How does that extend from your direct interactions? Because now I'm impacting the cab driver. I'm impacting the cab driver's kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, and I think you just said it, right? And so it's how we show up. And I think Matt even alluded to that, like how we're showing up each and every single day in every how do you say in every interaction that we're actually having. And you just, you gave a perfect example. I love that example. We are having that impact. And I know I certainly think about it that way. How am I showing up? I heard one thing that Matt started talking about. He said something about how, what did he say? How are you performing that people see that, right? And so, what are your standards, and are you keeping up with your own standards? And I heard you even say you're going to make it to the gym after we're done today, right? So I get that, and people see that. People see everything that you do, right? So that impact runs deep, and I think your example was perfect. It is just like that you described.
Curtis, let me ask you another question. I got a whiny dog here, so I'm going to ask you a question, and then you're going to be solo here for about 30 seconds while we hit the door there. What do you do if you have critical feedback for another person?
Oh, I love it.
You're right back.
So, yeah. And he does leave. Look at that. So, I mean, critical feedback with other people, that's tough conversation. We've all probably had to have it. And if you haven't yet, you're probably going to have it sometime in your lifetime. It's something that you have to approach with the perfect balance of care and candor. And, when I always do it, that conversation starts out with care and I end with candor. I mean, you've got to uncover that problem and get to the root of it in order to get the solutions. But it's got to start with that care. And my conversation is always going to end with some candor, because again, we're talking about leadership, and it is about other people. And if I care about them, I am going to be candid with them, by the time I finish that conversation, because that's what's going to make them better. And I know that I personally would appreciate that. And those that I've had the opportunity to lead, they've all appreciated that. And you made it back.
I did. Leslie, can you do me a favor? Can you share the slide with the check mark? And I want to show that to the audience. And then, Curtis, I want you to comment on it.
Sure.
And it's a slide that starts with a solo person and the impact that you can make as a solo person. And then the struggle, right? The struggle of now I'm putting together people.
Yeah.
And sometimes that you may take a step back when you do that, but then when you get the right team of people and how the performance increases. So explain maybe in a Curtis Tyree way what I just said about this image that's on the thing here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about, okay, I'm in the real estate bit, and because I've seen it so many times, right? I'm individual, I'm having success, and it's time for me to build out a team, right? And so I've seen it time and time again. And got to coach people that, built teams and what that looks like. And it does get ugly. And it does start out exactly like you've explained. It's an individual. We start gathering a couple of people, bringing them into our world. And quite honestly, you're just some random group. I've seen it time and time again. And there's a number of reasons for that. We've sometimes hired the wrong people. Sometimes we failed to train them. Sometimes we're not holding them accountable to standards. Sometimes we're not holding them accountable at all. And so we're just sort of running amok all over the place. And then finally, and what happens, or at least what I'd seen, is that, so then we just replace people. We do that for a while, and we just stay this group, and it's this ongoing random group. But new people, old people out, and, all that kind of stuff. And then finally, when had enough and sort of worked on those leadership skills and setting a big vision, which is a, skill of leadership that you need to do, getting good with understanding people and pouring into them and understanding that it's through influence and that it's about them. You start turning from a group into this team. And that's when, and as your chart alludes to, that's when you start seeing the performance go up. I'd seen people that, again, started a team, and for 1, 2, 3 years until they sort of figured it out, their numbers were just like this. Like they didn't grow. They had a whole bunch of people. They didn't go anywhere, at least not through numbers. And then again, when they started to develop their leadership skills and implement the things that are required of being a good leader and putting together a team for performance and culture and having high standards, holding people accountable, that's when they become a team, and that's when performance starts to just go out of this world.
So what my belief is that your success is mutual with those that you lead. And when you engineer a team to succeed at an optimal level, with every member taking on their duties entirely, and you as the leader responsible for making sure that you're casting the vision, we talked about that before, that you're setting the expectations, we talked about that before, that you're helping to guide them for their success, then at that point it becomes a higher performance team because you have people that are supplementing each other's strengths and weaknesses. What you don't want to do is you don't want to have a bunch of, though I think this would be a damn pretty powerful team, but a bunch of people like you. There's only I'm not saying there's not enough room for more than one of you, but what I'm saying is that if it's all you, if it's Curtis and Matt and I, and that's the only three members of the team,
we're in trouble.
Boy, I don't know. I know I'm not doing it. I mean, I'm just saying, right? Like,
time out. No.
Yeah, I mean, like we're all gonna be like, hey, let's cast a vision, and then we're gonna be looking around, and we're gonna be like having pizza one day. We're like, well, did anybody actually ever do that thing we were gonna do? I thought you were doing it, dude. Anyways, so that's so it's about understanding to get the right people in the right places, right, and then set expectations for your relationships. And remember, a complaint reflects an unfilled expectation. I want you guys to write that down. A complaint reflects an unfilled expectation, whether that's a complaint from a client or from a team member who you're leading. And when you stand for the greatness of those that you serve and that you lead to the people's strengths, not their weaknesses, and you know the strengths to hire for your fault, then you can be able to perform at a higher level. My daughter, who just got home from school, and that's why there's a bunch of ruckus in my family right now in my world, she is she's doing really good in school this year. And she's not necessarily, her superpower is her charisma, is her beautiful personality. And I could tell you, she's going to get so much further in life with that beautiful personality and that charisma and that likability than if she was like, going to Harvard and, all academic, which would be great too. But it's understanding that here's the strengths. So let me pour into those strengths of my daughter or my employee. I don't like even using the word employee. I'll say my partner. Okay. I only use that word employee just so you guys understood a perspective, but I don't like that word at all. I think that's worse than a curse word, by the way. My partner. All right. And my job as a leader is serving them. But Curtis, what is the number one mistake that you've seen leaders make?
Ooh. Wow.
It's a complex question because it depends on what level they're at, right? I'm thinking of a name right now that I will never say out loud. But I want you to read my mind right now. And Matt, I want you to read my mind right now of a gentleman. And I want you to consider what's the number one mistake that you believe that gentleman has made. I bet you I just asked that question in a way that was understood.
With me, or what you say, Matt? Is Matt on here still?
No, Matt's not on his head. Matt knows what I'm saying. You may or may not. I think you do.
I don't. Maybe.
Matt, you want to answer the question?
Where's Matt?
There he is. I hesitate to answer the question. And yet, so I would say that one of the biggest challenges that it's like leading through fear, like fear-based leadership, and just like driving for results without relationship would be probably one of the biggest things that I've seen leaders fail at.
Yeah. I would answer the question, and the question with the person I'm thinking of is getting to a place of success and then not recognizing that you have to then adapt to a new environment.
I know who you're talking about now. Okay. And I thought you might be going there, but I wasn't sure.
All right.
Yeah, so there's two perfect examples. He's talking about fear and you're talking about being adaptable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I might have gone towards being a poor communicator, but hey, not sure. Look, 3 different opinions.
Well, and I think they're all valid because I think I think you both maybe mentioned John Maxwell because the leadership is like his niche, and John Maxwell goes to the 5 different levels of leadership, and how the pinnacle of leadership is to teach others to be leaders basically, and then we had another speaker on earlier today that was talking more about that, and but you may be on level 5 with the pinnacle relationship, leadership with one person, and number 1, which is positional leadership with another person, because you haven't yet developed the trust, you haven't yet developed the relationship, you haven't yet learned about what's in their world, and so you could be on different levels of leadership based off of the relationship, based off the size of the organization that you're leading. So I gave you an example of a very, very large, and I was very vague intentionally the way I asked the question, of an incredibly large company that I believe lost his way. Okay. And I believe that they lost their way because they had a level of success and then they didn't have the foresight to make a change to the environment. And I think that that's an example of maybe it's poor leadership, maybe it's just a mistake, maybe it was a situation that couldn't have been changed. I don't know. But the point that I'm making here that I go through in the book Teach to Sell is that you're a different leader to different people in different environments and different circumstances.
You are. And may I share what I think? I'm just going to say one word: ego.
Ego can be, ego can be, yeah. All right, I'm glad we're having this conversation right now. All right, let's finish this up, guys. So one of the things that I want to finish up today, and well, first of all, let's thank Curtis. I got 5 minutes left to sort of wrap this all up. So take yourself off mute, take yourself off mute, take yourself off mute. Richard's the one that's leading the charge, and join me.
Thank you, Curtis.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Nice job, buddy.
My pleasure. Let's wrap this up, guys. So, what poisons a team? So we're gonna sort of wrap it up within leadership, and some of the things that I recognize that I'm gonna want you to write this down and commit to never doing it: gossip, lack of unity, personal ambitions that outweigh those of the team, missing cohesion, incompetence. Those are some things that can cause a team to go sort of sideways. Those are some things that as we wrap up the leadership session that I want you to consider as, something just to say, okay, this is something that could screw you up. Throughout my career, I have experienced both victories and setbacks, and I have planned, I have taken action, I've adjusted the course, and at times I even hit the mark, and I'm grateful for those times. But other times I have fallen short, and every moment, every challenge, every success has been a part of my evolution. And through it all, I've learned a truth that took me years to fully accept. I am good enough. And I want you to consider that you are good enough as well. Something that I have learned throughout my career is that I have done my best to share with you some of the valuable lessons that I've learned through along the way during this 3-hour session, but certainly there's not enough time to do that. Get the book. If you haven't already gotten the book, Les will put in one last opportunity for you to do so I can continue to be able to pour into you. But some of the things, the principles that I have learned that have shaped me the most is that I need to understand my priorities. Time is limited. Where you focus matters. Choose to live life with meaning. Purpose fuels persistence. We talked about persistence earlier today. Develop, learn, and grow. Because the greatest investment that you can have is the investment in yourself. Understand your worth. You are capable and you deserve success. Be committed to an outcome. Don't be attached. So you can adapt when necessary, but never, ever quit unless if you choose to do so. The people you surround yourself with shape your future, so choose wisely. Pay attention to the right people to supplement your weaknesses, and always have gratitude, because gratitude and negativity cannot coexist. So choose appreciation over frustration. Focus on one priority at a time. Progress comes from having clarity. Embrace your passion, because it's the driving force to fulfilling life. And teach to sell. It's the most powerful way to lead, influence, and create lasting success is by understanding how other people grow, how they adapt to the world, and how that you can help them achieve their goals, which as a byproduct will naturally let you achieve your goals. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. If you're looking for more free value every single Friday and every single Monday, we do CPI baby steps. You can join me on this same Zoom channel, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Every single Tuesday, every single Thursday, we do a live lead generation where you can come in and shadow me, where I'll be calling leads live. We did that earlier today, and some of you were here for that. We do that every single Tuesday and Thursday. Put it on your calendar, share it with a friend, get the word out. Let's help other salespeople have consistent and predictable income, because they deserve it, and because I'm asking for you to be a leader in the marketplace by inviting others to get the book, by inviting others to the free training, so that together we can help 1 million salespeople have consistent, predictable income. Thank you, everybody. Please join me tomorrow at 9 a.m. if you're available. And until then, have the best day of your life. Be grateful, make good choices, go help somebody. Last call, visit www.teachtosellbook.com. That's teachtosellbook.com. Reserve your copy. God bless you. I'll see you guys.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome. How many closings are on your calendar right now? Look, if you don't have a system, you are the system. And that's exactly why you're exhausted. If you are tired of feeling like you have to chase every deal, beg for referrals, or worse, wing it every single month, I've got something that's going to blow your mind. This is real-world lead generation, funnel automation, and persuasive communication built by an agent for agents. Because top agents aren't grinding harder, they're following a process. And the difference between struggle and freedom is the fix. It works. Whether you've been licensed 10 months or 10 years. It's free, it's straight to the point, and it'll show you exactly, step by step, how to build the business that you thought you were signing up for when you got licensed. Click the link, watch the training, then you decide if you want to fix this once and for all. If you want to have no broke months, this is where it starts. Join the fix, and let's build a business that pays you back.